Chapter 559. Welcome to the surface. Li Fan smiled at Eagle King, then with a stomp of his feet, the ground trembled and Eagle King's body bounced up, appearing in front of Li Fan. Black Tiger Fierce Mountain Climbs. Li Fan struck out 3 times, hitting Eagle King's chest, chin, and then grabbing onto his head. His fingers dug into Eagle King's skull and fiercely smashed him back onto the ground. Bang! Eagle King's body heavily smashed there, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was directly knocked unconscious by Li Fan. Next, Li Fan threw Eagle King to the side. Just this level, it's not even enough to warm up. This guy is too arrogant. Let the stronger experts go up. Defeat him. The elders all roared while Li Fan dug his ears. Is there anyone else? If there's no one else, I can leave. My time is very precious. You brat, you are too arrogant. The great elder could not help but speak. This is the Dragon Hall. It is not up to you to be impudent. Dong Yi? Dong Yi nodded his head and extended his hand. Fei Long, it's been hard on you. All right. A quiet man walked out. This brother was 1.8 meters tall, and his legs took up more than half of his height. The moment Li Fan saw him, he knew that this person was a natural master of leg techniques. His 2 legs were strong and long and they looked like good legs. Li Fan suspected that there was something wrong with his sexual orientation to actually be interested in a man's leg. Please enlighten me. Fei Long was more taciturn. After he came up, he immediately lifted one of his legs and stared at Li Fan, not in a hurry to make a move. He was an expert, observing Li Fan first, and not in a hurry to attack. He was not in a hurry, and neither was Li Fan. He walked to the side of the fighting field and picked up an unopened bottle of champagne and a glass from the great elder's table. With a bang, the champagne was opened. Li Fan sat on the ground, poured himself a glass of champagne, and took a sip. Not bad, not bad. The people here have good taste. The person is bad, but the wine is fragrant. Li Fan commented. The great elder was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. They were saving this champagne to drink when they got rid of Li Fan and celebrated their success. In the end, now, it had benefited this brat, Li Fan, for nothing. The most important thing was that this guy didn't appreciate it after drinking it, and even scolded the owner of the wine again. There was no justice in the world. Fei Long looked at Li Fan, who was sitting on the ground drinking, and frowned slightly. The competition is sacred. He said slowly. Yeah, it's sacred. I didn't pee or shit. Li Fan nodded seriously. What's wrong? Can't we drink during the competition? Isn't there the drunken fist? You can fight while drinking. I don't have a wine gourd, so I can only make do with this wine cup. Aya, you can't blame me for this. If you want to blame something, blame the facilities here are too imperfect. You let the guests drink to their heart's content. Fei Long was speechless, feeling that this Li Fan was a bit shameless. Fei Long, what are you waiting for? Go. Kick him to death. Use your stormy kick. The elders shouted one after another, urging Fei Long. Fei Long had no choice but to bounce his feet, and his whole body quickly approached Li Fan. He suddenly kicked out toward Li Fan. But the champagne in Li Fan's hand was broken. He held the glass and jumped back, dodging Fei Long's next kick. What a pity. Li Fan sighed. Fortunately, there's still a little left. I can't waste it. With that, Li Fan lifted the glass and sent it to his mouth. Fei Long kicked out with lightning speed, straight for the glass in Li Fan's hand. But Li Fan extended his hand, pressing down on Fei Long's leg. Good wine. Li Fan smacked his lips, still wanting to continue. What a pity, there's only a little left. Don't you think it's a waste? Fei Long did not reply to Li Fan, and immediately turned around to kick. Li Fan felt that the kick was not weak, and even with crane hand he was unable to dodge it. He immediately retreated, and at the same time, used the wine glass as a hidden weapon, and threw it at Fei Long. But Fei Long swung his leg, and the wine glass was broken. And Li Fan took this opportunity, lowered his body, and like a ferocious tiger out of the cage, he appeared in front of Fei Long, and used both hands to grab at Fei Long's body. But Fei Long raised his hands, and slapped away Li Fan's tiger claws. Li Fan was a little surprised. So powerful. This person is a true master of leg technique. There is a good saying, hands are two doors, and all rely on the feet to kick people. Those who I usually encounter who play with legs rarely have this kind of awareness. However, except for this Fei Long, he is good at playing with legs. That sounded a little weird. Li Fan attacked a few more times, but was slapped away by Fei Long's hand. Looking at Li Fan's gap, Fei Long kicked high again, but Li Fan dodged it. "Ha, good." Li Fan could not help but laugh. "Then let's play." With that, Li Fan entered the double state of Immortal Shen and Lightning Deer. Fei Long kicked him again, as fast as lightning. Li Fan used Crane Hand and slapped Fei Long's foot to the side. At the same time, he chased up and used Rushing Thunder Kick and kicked Fei Long's face. Fei Long also stretched out his hand and tried to slap Li Fan's foot away. But Li Fan's foot not only has true qi, but also electricity. Fei Long stretched out his hand, and his hand immediately became numb from the electricity. But Fei Long swung his hand and kicked again and was slapped away by Li Fan. The two people, back and forth, exchanged 7 or 8 moves with each other. "Fei Long, what the hell are you doing? Outrageous, are you throwing the game?" The surrounding elders were dissatisfied, wishing they could personally pinch Li Fan to death, but unfortunately, they don't have the strength to do so. Fei Long's brows wrinkled even deeper. He suddenly kicked Li Fan's hand, and then jumped back more than 3 meters away, readjusted his posture, and looked at the opposite Li Fan. "Your skill is good." Fei Long cautiously looked at Li Fan, seemingly looking for a flaw in Li Fan. "Come, let's continue playing." Li Fan hooked his finger at Fei Long, but Fei Long did not rush forward. Instead, he calmed down and said, "I use my full strength." As Fei Long spoke, his body suddenly began to release an intense blue and white radiance. Following that, he put on a blue and white true qi coat that seems to be slowly burning, and his aura changed greatly, causing Li Fan to feel the pressure. "What the? Condensing qi?" Li Fan swallowed his saliva. This guy also knows this move. And looking at his appearance, it is clearly much easier than Chenjialua. An expert. Li Fan carefully stared at Fei Long, wanting to know what move he will use next. Chapter 560. The flying dragon stood there, lifting its right leg slightly. Li Fan felt as if the air was flowing in the direction of the flying dragon. It's the flying dragon's stormy kick. This Li Fan is dead for sure. No one can dodge the flying dragon's killer move. Right? Wait and see that kid get torn to shreds. The surrounding elders all started to shout, but Li Fan was a bit brainless. What was going on? What the hell was that flying dragon's stormy kick? He suddenly kicked in the direction of Li Fan. What was the point of kicking from so far away? Li Fan had thought so with certainty just now, but now he knew that he was wrong. The flying dragon had actually used its right leg to create a whirlwind, tearing the surrounding air apart as it flew towards Li Fan. Li Fan's arms were in front of him. The whirlwind was like a blade, tearing at Li Fan's body. The whirlwind pushed Li Fan back 3 to 4 meters. At the same time, countless wounds were left on Li Fan's body. Clearly, this flying dragon's stormy kick had hurt him quite a bit. Fortunately, they were all superficial wounds. Li Fan adjusted his state, looked at the flying dragon, and gave it a thumbs up. Amazing. Truly amazing. The flying dragon's kick had used the qi in its leg to drive the air around it, creating a vacuum storm. If Li Fan had not used his qi to protect his body, he would have been torn to pieces. Condensing essence. I'll give it a try too. The last time, Chenjialua had used it too suddenly. But this time, Li Fan felt that he could also challenge it. He took a deep breath and entered the ape-faced Buddha state in the blink of an eye. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Li Fan's eyes glowed with a golden light as he quickly analyzed the flying dragon's skill. Shwa. Fei Long didn't seem to want to wait for Li Fan. He whipped his leg again and kicked a whirlwind towards Li Fan. This time, his whirlwind was even stronger and more powerful. It even tore a long trench in the ground. Li Fan's body was being pulled by the whirlwind. He could not use his lightness skill smoothly and could not avoid it easily. This was the most perverse part of the Stormwind kick. You could only face it head-on. However, Li Fan did not intend to dodge. He suddenly roared, and his body suddenly released a bluish-white radiance. The light gathered on Li Fan's body and slowly formed a coat, gathering qi and essence. Fei Long furrowed his brows. Li Fan also knew this move? This was a move created by Lu Jinshan, and it was only passed down in the World Alliance. In the past, the experts of the World Alliance all knew this move. Qi gathering and essence condensation was actually to allow true qi to leave the meridians and fill every single cell in one's body, greatly strengthening one's strength. After the World Alliance split, this move was passed down to the 4 major alliances. It was said that the people from the 4 major alliances had modified this move to suit their style. The most orthodox qi gathering and essence condensation was only passed down by the Dragon Hall's 12 saints. This Li Fan, where did he learn it from? This was not the most amazing thing. What was even more amazing was that Li Fan also whipped his leg and kicked out a whirlwind. The 2 whirlwinds collided in the air and immediately stirred the surrounding air, forming a wave that spread out. The surrounding elders all grabbed onto anything they could to prevent themselves from being blown away. The great elder's wig flew away, and he covered his bald head in panic. Impossible! The 2 whirlwinds dissipated together. Fei Long was still shocked. How did you? I learned it from you. Li Fan winked at him. I'm a person who loves to learn. My God, how did Li Fan know Flying Dragon's Stormwind kick? Was it Fei Long who taught him? This is Fei Long's secret skill. It must be. Maybe Dong Yi instructed him to do this. I knew it. Dong Yi and Li Fan have something going on. The surrounding elders started discussing again. Fei Long's frown deepened. If you frown so deeply, you'll age very quickly. Li Fan reminded him with a smile. Howling wind rainstorm. Fei Long immediately kicked out 9 whirlwinds. One after another, they swept towards Li Fan. Come on. Li Fan laughed out loud. He made the true energy in his body even more abundant. The color of his true qi faintly turned golden, releasing a radiance like the sun. Li Fan had a pure yang body. His true qi attribute was originally very different from others. At this moment, he was like a warrior descending from the sun. He was very dazzling, causing the elders to not dare to look at him directly. Half moon illuminates the river. Li Fan suddenly jumped up. He raised one of his legs high above his head and fiercely swung it downwards. True qi formed a half moon and instantly flew out from Li Fan's body. Like a blade, it easily tore apart the whirlwinds and arrived in front of Fei Long. Swish! Li Fan combined the Scorpion Warrior and Fei Long's moves together, forming such a powerful half-moon storm attack. Poof! One of Fei Long's arms was directly cut off by the storm. Fresh blood pushed the severed arm into the air and it fell in front of an elder. That elder was so scared that his head was covered in cold sweat. Li Fan appeared in front of Fei Long and pressed his foot against Fei Long's neck. As long as Li Fan was willing, he could break Fei Long's head at any time. I lost. Fei Long lowered his head and slowly retreated. His ultimate skill was so easily learned by Li Fan. Furthermore, he was able to infer other things from it and use an even more powerful move. This little tyrant Li Fan was indeed not an ordinary person. However, among the Dragon Hall's 12 sages, there were strong and weak ones. He was not the strongest. If he wanted to continue winning, it would be very difficult. Fei Long went to recuperate. The elder at the side couldn't help but mutter again. This Fei Long isn't much. That's right. He was just fighting a high school student, yet he lost his arm. Seems like he doesn't live up to his name. He's just trash. Dong Yi and the rest didn't say anything. The Dragon Hall's 12 sages also clenched their fists. They had to give face to the elders. Some could choose not to. Fuck your grandpa. Are you done yet? Li Fan stood there with killing intent surging from his body. He stared at these elders with a gloomy expression. Blabber 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 blabber. Are you fucking chickens? Don't you know how annoying you are? Whoever dares to blabber will end up like this. As he spoke, he swung his leg. A shockwave flew out and smashed the wall behind him. In the middle of the wall, there was a gap in the shape of a line. One could see the sky outside. The elders didn't say anything. Only then did Li Fan feel satisfied. He retracted his killing intent and picked his ears. Thank you, Escort Li. Dong Yi cupped his hands and bowed to a white-haired elder at the side. Mr. Big Dipper, please. This elder walked into the arena. At the same time, he gave Li Fan a terrifying pressure. Chapter 561. May I ask, young man, who did you learn chi condensation from? The old man called Big Dipper walked into the ring and asked Li Fan in a calm and unhurried manner. Just now, I learned it from White Dragon. Li Fan said bluntly, he's a good teacher and I'm also a good student. So that's how it is. It seems that young man is indeed a gifted genius. Big Dipper nodded. He wasn't angry nor did he make a fuss. He said unhurriedly, before the match, young man, if there's anything else you want to do, like drinking or eating, finish it as soon as possible. You're not allowed to do these things during the match later. It seemed that the old man was still concerned about Li Fan drinking and playing with Fei Long. Don't worry. I'm pretty much done drinking. Li Fan smiled and said, it's just food, so let's not talk about it for now. I don't like to fight when I'm full. I only like to sleep. That's fine. Big Dipper nodded. Young man, do you have any last words? This old man already sees me as a dead man. His words are really unlucky. He's really confident. Old man, if you want to fight, then hurry up and fight. I'm actually a bit hungry after what you said. Li Fan rubbed his lower abdomen and pretended to say, young man, you don't need to try and anger this old man. This old man won't fall for it. The white-haired Big Dipper chuckled. This old man wore a white robe and stood there with the demeanor of an immortal. This old man was definitely ruthless. Li Fan didn't dare to slight him. He did a small warm-up and beckoned at Big Dipper. Come on, man. Let's spar. Okay. Big Dipper nodded. He stepped forward in a horse stance and lightly raised his right fist. Li Fan didn't even have time to react. He was suddenly punched in the chest and flew 4 to 5 meters away. He flipped in the air before stabilizing his body and landing on the ground. Not bad. Big Dipper smiled. You have some skill to be able to take my Big Dipper fist. Damn, Big Dipper fist, and even Big Dipper divine fist. Li Fan really wanted to complain. What kind of kung fu is this? I can't even see Big Dipper's fist. When did he punch? That was way too fast. Although Li Fan was shocked, he maintained his composure. He stood there, calmly looking at Big Dipper. Old mister, your fist technique is really powerful. It's okay. I'm just playing around. Big Dipper was extremely modest. He chuckled as he looked at Li Fan. Do you want to learn? Take me as your master. I can teach you. That won't do. Li Fan hurriedly waved his hand. Li Fan am naturally not obedient. I am not fated to become an apprentice. That's a pity. I can't teach you this fist technique. As Big Dipper said this, he slightly raised his right fist. Li Fan subconsciously raised his arms to block in front of him. Bam! His shoulder was punched, and his body flew out diagonally. He somersaulted in the air and barely landed on the ground, stabilizing his body. The speed of this old man's fist was actually this fast? Li Fan saw his opponent's attack clearly, but it was just a little. It was like a star shining in the night sky, disappearing in a flash. If he couldn't see it clearly, it would be too difficult to learn this move. Even the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth had conditions. Li Fan landed back on the ground and stabilized his body again. Big Dipper is going. This time, Li Fan is dead for sure. He's a famous expert. I heard that no one can see through his fist technique. Finally, there's someone to teach Li Fan a lesson for us. The elders at the side lowered their voices and whispered. As long as they didn't slander his opponent, Li Fan couldn't be bothered with them. These elders were really having a headache. Old mister, I've already seen through your fist technique. Big Dipper thought that 2 punches had crushed Li Fan's confidence. He didn't expect Li Fan to laugh and readjust his posture. He stood in front of Big Dipper and patted the dust off his clothes. There were still 2 fist marks on his body, left by Big Dipper. "Young man, bluffing is too unsightly," Big Dipper said. "I'll give it a try." Li Fan placed his hands in front of him, waiting for Big Dipper to punch. Big Dipper raised his right arm slightly, but in the next moment, Li Fan raised both his hands. Bam! Li Fan overlapped his hands, and his palms were emitting a little green smoke. Although his body was pushed back a meter, he still stood firmly on the ground this time. This time, Li Fan caught Big Dipper's fist. Big Dipper was also a formidable martial artist and had experienced many things. However, this was the first time he saw this. "You judged it from this old man's stance?" Big Dipper glanced at his right hand and said with some praise, "Young man, you're very smart. Unfortunately, you're going to die young." Saying so, he made a posture of punching but didn't move. Li Fan knew he was preparing to make a surprise attack. This time, Big Dipper's hand didn't move at all. His fist already arrived in front of Li Fan. Bam! Li Fan raised both his hands again and blocked this invisible punch. Green smoke rose from his hand again, proving that he had just done something incredible. Big Dipper frowned for the first time. "Old mister, don't look down on others." Li Fan said, "Look at the opponent's stance. That's the most basic stage, right?" You looking at this old man's gaze?" Big Dipper was also a senior with rich experience, so he immediately understood. "The place I see is the place I want to attack, right?" "Yes." Li Fan didn't refute. That was indeed the case. However, there's a solution to this. Big Dipper was very confident, but Li Fan was a bit puzzled. Could it be that he had to close his eyes and listen to the wind to determine the position? That's too ridiculous, right? My Qinggong can eliminate the sound of footsteps. Soon, Li Fan realized he was mistaken. Big Dipper actually took out a pair of sunglasses and put them on. "Fuck your grandpa, how can you play like this?" Li Fan really wanted to curse, but he didn't have the chance anymore. Bam! Li Fan's body was blasted away and smashed into the wall behind him. His body was embedded in the wall and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Clearly he wasn't lightly hit. "Sorry, this old man's Big Dipper fist technique isn't that easy to break." Big Dipper touched his sunglasses with a smile. Li Fan returned to the ground. He calmed his injuries and swallowed a spring-returning pill at the same time. Luo Xiaofeng refined 2 kinds of pills. The spring return pill was specialized for healing and the essence return pill was used to replenish true qi. It could be said that Li Fan now had both red and blue pills. He was determined to fight this old man Big Dipper to the end. Chapter 562. After swallowing the rejuvenation pill, the boiling blood in Li Fan's body was suppressed. He felt much more relaxed. Bang! However, Big Dipper did not give Li Fan any time to recover. He followed up with another punch and sent Li Fan flying again. However, Li Fan had already wrapped his body with qi and faced this punch. His body was sent sliding 3 meters away. His chest was still emitting green smoke. "Old sir, your fist technique is not powerful enough." Li Fan spat out a mouthful of blood and said, "Young man, don't be too stubborn. If you admit defeat now, this old man can spare your life. However, your martial arts must be crippled." The other party had already refused to be his disciple. This meant that he could not be used by the Dragon Hall. Since that was the case, he had to follow the Dragon Hall's rules and execute this kid. Wearing sunglasses, Big Dipper made up for his only flaw. However, Li Fan had already thought of a way to deal with it. He dispersed the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth state. At the same time, he spread his qi around him, forming a 3-meter radius. "No matter what you do, it's useless. No one can dodge my Big Dipper fist technique." As Big Dipper spoke, he threw another lightning-fast punch at Li Fan. Li Fan's true qi began to churn, and a squeezing feeling rushed into his own true qi. It was as if something had fallen into the sea. Li Fan subconsciously leaned his body to the right. Bang! A clear fist imprint was left on the opposite wall. Big Dipper was puzzled. Was it a coincidence? He threw another punch at Li Fan. Li Fan stuffed his hands in his pockets. He lowered his body and dodged it again. Another fist imprint appeared on the wall. It was laced with spiderweb cracks. Big Dipper threw another 2 punches, but Li Fan dodged them both. "Stop trying," Li Fan said. "I've already discovered your flaw." Big Dipper raised his brows. "This old man's fist technique has a flaw?" Li Fan nodded, stretched out 2 fingers and said, "Although your Big Dipper godly fist is fast, it needs to be charged up. Every time you throw a punch, there will be a gap of about 2 seconds. This is one of your weaknesses." As he spoke, Li Fan suddenly appeared in front of Big Dipper and tilted his head to the right. Bang! The ceiling above them shattered, and Li Fan placed a hand on Big Dipper's shoulder. "Old mister? Pa!" He stretched out his right palm and caught the old man's punch. "This is your second flaw. Your so-called Big Dipper fist is nothing more than compressing Jinqi, adding the power of the air, and instantly releasing it in front of me. However, to compress true Qi, you need 2 seconds. These 2 seconds are your fatal flaw." Big Dipper's expression finally changed, but Li Fan didn't give him any chance to resist. "Chase deer." With a lightning-fast kick, Li Fan directly hit Big Dipper's neck, sending him flying. While Li Fan's feet bounced off the ground, using Qinggong, and actually caught up to Big Dipper just like that. Big Dipper had just placed one hand on the ground, preparing to stabilize his body. But Li Fan followed up with a chase deer, chopping down with his foot, hitting Big Dipper's shoulder. Bang! Big Dipper's body was kicked to the ground, smashing a hole in the floor. Li Fan's chase deer was too fast, as swift as lightning. Moreover, his chase deer did not need to charge up any strength and could be kicked out. Big Dipper didn't even have the chance to charge up his fist technique and was kicked twice by Li Fan, lying in the deep hole. "Old mister, I'm sorry." Li Fan's attack was a series of consecutive techniques, not giving Big Dipper any chance to resist. In midair, he entered the ape-faced Buddha heaven-earth phenomenon state and then threw a Big Dipper fist at Big Dipper below. Bang! Big Dipper vomited a large mouthful of blood. His chest was punched with a fist mark, and his internal organs were a mess. If he did not recuperate properly, he would not be able to fight again. "Old mister, you can go down now." Just as Li Fan finished speaking, Big Dipper suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were not filled with pain, but a kind of excitement. "Good young man," Big Dipper said, reaching out his hand and fiercely slapped his chest. He vomited a large mouthful of extravasated blood, actually vomiting out all the extravasated blood in his body. Fuck. Even Li Fan could not help but be surprised. This was too fucking domineering, right? Big Dipper's hands slapped the ground, and his entire body straightened up. He looked at Li Fan, and his personality seemed to have changed greatly as he laughed. "Ha, satisfying. Today, I'll fight you with all my strength. Young man, don't die too early." Saying that, he suddenly took a deep breath, and his entire body swelled up. The clothes on his body directly burst. Just now, he was still a skinny old man, but now he became a muscular man. It was as if he had returned to his youth, and the muscles on his body were about to explode. This was not aberration bone changing. It was just a kind of method to store energy. When needed, this old man would release the energy, letting the muscles rejuvenate. This way, it could greatly slow down the metabolism, which could be regarded as a kind of health preservation method. The current Big Dipper had already transformed into a muscular man. Big Dipper released his energy? Extreme Big Dipper, huh? He can actually force out this state. This kid has some ability. Inconceivable, the elders discussed in low voices, while Big Dipper was already repeatedly punching at Li Fan. Bang bang bang. Li Fan's body was repeatedly beaten back. After this, Big Dipper released his body's energy. His punches no longer had the 2-second time limit. He just stood there, both hands throwing punches again and again. The fist aura constantly hit Li Fan's body, causing him to retreat step by step and vomit blood. This old man is a bit fierce. With so many fist auras like rain, Li Fan could only rely on true chi perception and had no way to dodge. Can you dodge the sky full of rain? You can only find a place to hide from the rain. Li Fan made his true chi protection thicker, blocking in front of him, trying to reduce the damage these fist auras caused him. But there were too many fist auras, and the power was too strong. Li Fan's true chi protection was quickly broken, and his body fell heavily, crashing into the wall behind him. But Big Dipper still did not stop. He fought to his heart's content, throwing out God knows how many punches in a row. Every punch was incomparably heavy, landing on Li Fan's body time and time again, deepening Li Fan's injuries. Li Fan did not know how much blood he vomited, and the surrounding elders were all excited. This time, Li Fan is dead for sure. Humiliating their dragon hall, this will be the outcome. The group of elders all looked at Li Fan and Big Dipper with anticipation. Big Dipper was addicted to fighting, and he was ready to kill. Chapter 563. Big Dipper is addicted to fighting. He also decided to kill Li Fan here. You are very strong, so this old man is prepared to let you die in a dignified way. Big Dipper stretches out a finger and points at Li Fan, that is to let you die under this old man's fist. Cough, cough, Li Fan coughs out blood. Then I really have to thank you, you're welcome. This is the only thing you have, the pride of a martial artist. As Big Dipper speaks, he readjusts his state and continues to throw punches at Li Fan. The fist aura erupts. However, Li Fan's body shook off the wall behind him, and a great war god popped out from behind him. It also stretched out its palm and quickly slapped away the fist aura in front of it. Bang bang bang. The air seems to be lit up with firecrackers as the sound of explosions rises and falls. The elders are all stunned. What is this thing that came out from behind Li Fan? They more or less know a little about the martial arts world. There are many martial arts in the martial arts world, but this is the first time they have seen this kind of martial arts. What is that? Is it a human figure formed from true chi? This kind of thing actually has such great power? Ursa Major Seal. When Li Fan is controlling the war god, he himself cannot make a move. But his war god is even more valiant. It directly strikes an opening and slaps out a palm. Bang. Big Dipper's robust body is directly sent flying by this palm. His body rolls in the air, and when he regains his balance, he is somewhat surprised. What is that? Big Dipper looks at the war god behind Li Fan in shock. My martial art, Fist of 7 Heroes. As Li Fan speaks, he puts away the war god. This war god has both offense and defense. He relies on the gap created by the war god and takes the opportunity to throw himself in front of Big Dipper. Big Dipper immediately counterattacks, his fists unceasingly falling towards Li Fan. But Li Fan's body unceasingly leaves afterimages in the air, and his afterimages are unceasingly shattered. Monkey show. Even Big Dipper couldn't keep up with Li Fan's figure. He sighed inwardly. This youngster's Qigong was really powerful. However, Li Fan suddenly appeared beside Big Dipper. Big Dipper instantly turned around and prepared to kill Li Fan with Big Dipper punch. Fight the tiger! However, Li Fan suddenly made a move and slapped Big Dipper with his palm. Currently, Big Dipper was completely focused on preparing to attack, so he wasn't on guard against his own body. Bang! His body was abruptly sent flying, heavily crashing into the audience seats behind him. The elders were so scared that they scattered like birds and beasts, and 7 Star had already smashed a huge crater there. Another war god popped out from behind Li Fan. He clasped his hands together and condensed a ball of chi wave. Extreme gold toad spitting pearl. The energy wave was thrown into the audience seats and exploded with a loud bang. The large row of spectator seats was not spared, and the bricks were all blasted to smithereens. Fortunately, the elders had run away quickly, otherwise, they would have all died here. War God stretched out his right hand and used Dragon Toad's absorption of water to pull Big Dipper's injured body out and forcefully pull him in front of him. At the same time, War God retracted Dragon Toad's absorption of water and changed to Ape King Cannon, preparing to completely kill Big Dipper. Wait a minute! Dong Yi suddenly shouted, be lenient. He has already lost. Sure. Li Fan spat out a mouthful of impure air, and War God's figure slowly disappeared. Time for the next one. Li Fan took out an origin-returning pill and swallowed it. True Qi continuously replenished and entered Li Fan's dantian. His dantian also started to revolve at lightning speed, forming a strange whirlpool of energy which continuously revolved in Li Fan's body, causing the true qi in his body to rapidly grow. Right now, Li Fan faintly felt that the way the true qi revolved in his body was becoming more and more similar to Star Luo divine art. Even if he used Seven Heroes Force, when he forcefully revolved it, it would slowly and invisibly rob the surrounding true qi. It was more or less a little scary, but right now he had no other choice. There were still 3 opponents waiting for him. For the next round, I'll have to trouble you. You will have to face 2 opponents at the same time. After Dong Yi finished speaking, Li Fan twitched his mouth. What? After taking turns to fight me, you want to give me a threesome? Why don't the remaining 3 come at me together? 3 against 1, wouldn't that be more convenient? The 2 of them are husband and wife, and they live and die together. They also train in duo martial arts. Dong Yi explained, I hope that escort Li can be magnanimous. Fine. No matter how many people there are, hurry up and go. What else could Li Fan say? He was already forced to this step. No matter what, he had to continue. Cowherd, Weaver Girl, I'll have to trouble the 2 of you to make this trip. Dong Yi respectfully invited them. Meanwhile, Feng Xing had already carried the unconscious Big Dipper off the stage. From the side of the Dragon Hall's 12 sages, a man and a woman lightly flew over. The elders' complexions weren't very good, but when these 2 people stepped onto the stage, their expressions became slightly better. The 2 of us, husband and wife, have different bodies and 1 heart. We train in the innumerable threads divine art. These 2 actually spoke at the same time. Their intonations were completely identical, and even their expressions were very similar. Li Fan was a little surprised. If they were twins, or a pair of twins, he believed that they could achieve such synchronization. But a pair of husband and wife, could they achieve this? Li Fan really did have some doubts. However, the 2 people on the other side once again proved their synchronization rate. The 2 spoke in unison, Old brother Li, you have to be more careful. Please enlighten me. Li Fan took a deep breath and adjusted his body's condition, allowing his true qi to reach its strongest level. Each of the Dragon Hall's 12 sages was more powerful than the last. From the Black Snake to the White Tiger, to the Eagle King, the Flying Dragon, and Big Dipper. And the husband and wife in front of him emitted a sense of threat that made Li Fan shudder. The 2 of them were very polite. This kind of threat emanated from inside out, invading Li Fan's heart. Innumerable threads. What kind of martial art was this? Old brother Li, we're coming. The 2 suddenly shouted in unison. Then, like a gust of wind, they swept toward Li Fan, 1 from the left and 1 from the right. This wasn't much. The key was the silver-white thread in their hands that connected the 2 of them. The usually soft thread was now straightened in their hands and infused with true qi. Like the sharpest blade, it sliced toward Li Fan. Li Fan was taken aback. He immediately used an iron bridge and retreated. The thread passed through one of the pillars, and the pillar was directly cut in half. When the thread bounced out from the pillar, it splashed some dust. The pillar was still there, leaving only a shallow mark on it. It was clearly broken, but it didn't break. It could be seen how sharp this thread was. Fuck. Li Fan thought to himself that if this thing were to cut his body, he would probably be cut in half at the waist. Innumerable threads. The husband and wife shouted in unison. Then, their hands shot out countless threads. Chapter 564. Fuck. This was the real thousands of threads. So many threads, what the hell? Li Fan almost broke down. 1 thread was already powerful enough, and now there were so many. Wasn't this asking for his life? At this moment, Li Fan wanted to curse, but he held it in. Seeing the thousands of threads flying towards him, forming an inescapable net, waiting to strangle him, Li Fan calmed himself down and entered an ethereal state. Now was not the time to be anxious. Only by seeing through these threads could he maintain an invincible position in this move. Li Fan filled his eyes with spiritual energy. His eyes immediately lit up with a bluish-white glow. Soon, the bluish-white glow condensed into a golden-red color. This was the attribute of Li Fan's pure yang constitution. Every thread was very clear in Li Fan's eyes. Rather than saying they were threads, they were more like some kind of carrier that carried the power of spiritual energy. The power of these threads was indeed extraordinary. When Cowherd and Weaver Girl appeared, they had already entered the state of qi condensation. Qi condensation was a huge burden on the human body, but the two of them shared it equally. Therefore, it was not a bad idea to share the pressure equally. The inescapable net that the two of them had woven enveloped Li Fan. If these threads were ordinary nets, it would have been fine, but they were extremely sharp and could cut through gold and jade. The inescapable net that came from all directions left Li Fan with nowhere to escape. It was as though he had fallen into a dead end. But Li Fan had completely calmed down. He entered the state of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, and at the same time, he ignited his qi condensation and aimed his palm at Cowherd. Dong Yi, who was watching the battle, seemed to have predicted something. He frowned. Big Dipper fist. Li Fan's body did not move, but Cowherd's body suddenly flew out. There was a fist mark on his chest. The Cowherd and Weaving Girl were also shocked. Li Fan had actually learned the Big Dipper fist. Niu Lang spat out a mouthful of blood and stabilized his body, adjusting the thread in his hand. As for Li Fan, he dispersed the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. He said slowly, "Today's battle with all of you has benefited me greatly. Thank you for perfecting my 7 gallant fists." Above the 7 heroes' fist was the 7 brilliance fist. What Big Dipper had learned in his lifetime, the Big Dipper fist art, the Flying Dragon's killing blow, and the Flying Dragon's stormy kick, were all great inspirations to Li Fan. He stood where he was and took a deep breath, and the radiance of qi condensation slowly appeared on his body again. Even if Li Fan did not use the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth now, he had already comprehended the feeling of gathering qi and condensing essence. The so-called qi gathering and essence condensation was to disperse the true qi in one's body and then fuse it into every cell of the body, making the whole body active and fusing with the true qi. In this way, he could greatly strengthen his ultimate strength. It was said that Lu Jinchan was also the one who invented the gathering and condensing essence. This guy was indeed amazing. It was a pity that he was already dead. Otherwise, he would really want to have a great battle with him. Fighting with him would definitely be very delightful. Moreover, he would be able to learn a lot of useful things. It must be said that Li Fan was becoming more and more like a martial arts fanatic. "Young hero Li, you are indeed amazing. However, the two of us will have to use our full strength. Be more careful." Cowherd and Weaver Maid said in unison. They shot out silk threads and reconnected with their wives. However, Li Fan had already used his qinggong to hide to the other side before Cowherd shot out his silk threads. Li Fan's feet moved like the wind, and in the blink of an eye, he was already beside Cowherd. At such a close distance, Cowherd and Weaver Maid's inescapable net was useless. However, the two of them were not surprised. Instead, they smiled at Li Fan, as though Li Fan was walking right into their trap. Li Fan took a closer look. Unknowingly, there were already many silk threads in the surroundings. It was as though the two of them had woven a spider web. "You have nowhere to run, young hero Li." Cowherd and Weaver Maid pulled on these silk threads. Their true energy vibrated and swept towards Li Fan. However, just as the two of them attacked at the same time, Li Fan stood in the same spot and simultaneously punched out with both hands. Beating the tiger. This time, beating the tiger was combined with the power of the Big Dipper fist technique. Both fists punched out. Cowherd and Weaver Maid were attacking with all their strength and had no way to defend. They were both hit by Li Fan's fists. Their bodies were immediately sent flying. In the blink of an eye, they flew more than 10 meters away and heavily fell to the ground. Both of them had deep fist marks on their abdomens. Beating the tiger from a distance. Right now, Li Fan's move was truly perfect. Dong Yi stood there and watched this youth rapidly grow in battle after battle. His heart was filled with raging waves. This youth is strong, really very strong. Was his training and investment in him right or wrong? Perhaps, in the future, he would become a terrifying existence that he could not imagine. Cowherd, Weaver Maid, I order the two of you to take him down. The great elder could no longer sit still. If this went on, his dragon hall would lose all face. Yes. Cowherd and weaver maid stood up again. They swung the silk threads in their hands, trying to reorganize their rhythm and take down Li Fan in one go. However, Li Fan would not allow himself to be slaughtered by them. He stood there and swept out with his leg. A half-moon storm swept out. Like a blade, it directly cut off these silk threads. Following the continuous banging sounds, the broken silk threads caused cowherd and weaver maid to take 2 steps back. They were in a very sorry state. Enough! Dong Yi shouted, cowherd and weaver maid have been defeated. Li Fan, you have won 5 matches in a row. Hall Master Dong, do you know what you are saying? The great elder sat there with a gloomy expression. I am just speaking the truth. Dong Ye's expression did not change. Cowherd and weaver maid's moves have been seen through. It is impossible for the 2 of them to injure Li Fan. It was Li Fan's growth that was too fast. Dong Yi had to be responsible for Li Fan and the 12 sages of the Dragon Hall. The 12 sages of the Dragon Hall were all treasures passed down by the ancestors. White Tiger Chenjiao was still young. He did not even have the time to pass down his martial arts before dying. Dong Yi could not let anything happen to the remaining 11. Hall Master Dong, have you thought it through? I have a clear conscience towards the heavens and earth, and also towards the Dragon Hall. Dong Yi stood there with his hands behind his back. Great Elder, if you are unhappy, you can chase me away now. The great elder flung his sleeves and grunted in dissatisfaction. Dong Yi was also feeling depressed in his heart. He did not have the time to act like a good person here. Inside this place, the only person who was not human was him. However, the small dragon hall would not be able to contain him. This dragon hall was no longer the dragon hall of the past. Mr. Changhong, I will leave the last round to you. Chapter 565. Dong Yi respectfully cupped his hands towards the side. Sitting beside him was an old man wearing camouflage clothes. The old man looked short and thin, completely incomparable to the sage-like Big Dipper from before. This old man did not have the aura of an expert. He sat there, gnawing on a chicken leg in his hand. Hearing Dong Ye's words, he hurriedly finished gnawing on the chicken leg. Then, while chewing, he stood up and rubbed his hands on his pants, smearing the oil on his pants. Burp. The old man seemed to eat well and even burped. Kid Dong, hand over the sword. Yes. Dong Yi was very respectful towards this sloppy little old man, but at this moment he threw a black-sheathed sword towards the old man named Chang Hong. The old man stretched out his hand, and the sword actually stopped in front of him, as if it was being held by his true energy. Using qi to control the sword? Li Fan had heard Murong Ying mention this sword technique before. However, this sword technique required exquisite control of true energy, and one had to comprehend the sword intent. In today's world, there were not many people who could display this kind of sword technique. This old man, could he really use qi to control the sword? Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Chang Hong. Dong Yi bowed to Chang Hong. The old man walked crookedly onto the martial field, and the surrounding elders did not dare to make a sound. It seemed that they were also very afraid of this old man. Young man, look at my sword technique. Do you want to learn it? The old man was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he opened his palm and the sword immediately came out of its shell. This was an ordinary triangular sword, but in front of the old man, it nimbly danced in front of him, very freely and casually. If you learn this sword technique, picking up girls won't be a problem. The old man kept recommending to Li Fan, causing Li Fan to feel a headache. Old mister, if we were to compete in martial arts, then so be it. Why did you have to accept a disciple on the spot? Damn it, it's all because the old man's disciple died a few years ago. The old man curled his lips and said angrily, I have a total of 3 apprentices. The first one died in a car accident, the second one was killed by lightning on a rainy day, and the third one died of AIDS because he didn't wear a condom. Sigh, they have such a hard life. Young man, think about it. Becoming my disciple will definitely be beneficial to you. Li Fan almost cursed it out loud. What kind of fucking benefits are there? All your disciples have been cursed to death by you. Young lad, just follow me. Otherwise, I'm afraid my rainbow sword will be lost. The old man stared at Li Fan in disbelief. But Li Fan flatly refused. Didn't I already say that I won't take you as my master? It's good to have a master to protect you. In the Jianghu, this old man still has some status. Take me as your master, and I'll protect you in the future. Come on, my father-in-law is Murongbo. Even he can't protect me, let alone you. Ah, your father-in-law is Murongbo? Chang Hong was a little surprised. That old dog. Li Fan said. It sounds like there is some contradiction between the two. That's even better. Snatching his son-in-law and becoming my disciple. Interesting, interesting. The old man seemed to be quite happy as he happily clapped his hands. It seems that fooling Murongbo is the happiest thing in his life. I don't care what kind of relationship you have. It has nothing to do with me. Li Fan said, I won't be anyone's disciple. That's not up to you, young man. The old man said with a smile. Today, you have to accept it even if you don't want to. Fuck, you old man, you're trying to force me to buy and sell. Li Fan couldn't help but ridicule. Damn, what he hates the most is someone forcing him. You'll agree soon enough. As the old man spoke, he suddenly shot the sword in his hand towards Li Fan. This sword is as fast as light and instantly arrived in front of Li Fan. Crane hand. Great War God immediately popped out from behind Li Fan. With a wave of his palm, he slapped away the sword controlled by the old man. But the old man stretched out his right hand and aimed it at the sword, controlling it with his true chi. Li Fan also tried to seize the old man's control over the sword, but he found that he can't do it. This sword seems to be locked with a key and doesn't listen to Li Fan's command. The concentration of this old man's true chi is also very strong. In comparison, Li Fan's true chi is like a piece of wood, while the old man's true chi is like a stone. When the two true chi collide, Li Fan is at a disadvantage. This kind of situation is very rare. But he understood that this is a signal that the old man is much stronger than him. Seeing that his sword was slapped away by Li Fan's great war god, the old man was not anxious. He chuckled, extended his hands and pulled the sword in the air. A row of sword chi was pulled out from the sword. These sword chi are all in the shape of swords. There are a total of 6 of them, each of them is a different color. Including this sword, there are a total of 7 colors. This is the origin of the Rainbow 7 sword technique. Li Fan swallowed his saliva as he looked at the 7 sword images shooting towards him. The 7 colors of the rainbow in the sky are very beautiful, but also very fatal. Li Fan just stood there, letting the great war god continuously slap out crane hand, continuously sending the swords flying. But the 7 swords are getting faster and faster. The sword images are like rainbows, very quickly breaking through Li Fan's defense. 2 of the swords even pierced into Li Fan's shoulder and shot out from his back. These swords are all condensed from sword chi. They pierce through Li Fan's shoulder, bringing about penetrative damage. If not for Li Fan immediately using his chi to seal his meridians, he would have fallen to the ground. This is really fucked up. Li Fan swallowed a rejuvenation pill, kept his great war god, and pulled out his hero's sword from his back. There is a sword in the east, called Hero. When the hero appears, the sword will sweep through the world. The moment Li Fan pulled out the hero's sword, he immediately imitated the cowherd and weaver girl's method and infused his chi into the hero's sword. The sword immediately trembled slightly. The sword chi inside seems to be unable to be contained. That dong brat seems to like you. The old man nodded. He actually gave the hero's sword to you. Of course, since this old man likes you, if others don't like you, then it would be outrageous. The old man is quite proud, as if he already sees Li Fan as his disciple. But at this moment, Li Fan has no time to complain. He is holding the hero's sword, relying on the sharpness of the hero's sword and his powerful chi to block the 7 rainbow sword images. This damn old man? Li Fan can already feel that this guy's strength is definitely not just at the peak of perfection. Maybe he has already stepped into the ranks of a generation's grandmaster? Dragon Hall's 12 Saints, There is actually a generation's Grandmaster level expert. Li Fan feels that he already has 1 foot in the pit. Chapter 566. His strength was only at the peak of perfection. How could he fight a Grandmaster? Back then, when the great commander had just entered the sect, he had already been beaten to a pulp. Now, this old man named Chang Hong was definitely stronger than the great commander. When he executed the 7 rainbow sword, it was unrestrained and unrestrained, without any rules to follow. Li Fan felt that he was simply toying with him when he fought with him. Anger. It was too infuriating. For the first time, Li Fan felt insulted. He was being toyed with, and he could not bring himself to be happy. Old mister, don't blame me. As Li Fan spoke, he suddenly gathered the spiritual energy in his body. Gathering chi and essence? This skill was not bad, but Li Fan had fused the gathering chi and essence with his god of war. The god of war stood up behind him, but his body quickly shrank. In the blink of an eye, it seemed to transform into a human-shaped armor, draping over Li Fan's body. Li Fan's entire body shone with golden light, as though he was wearing a golden battle armor. He held the hero's sword in his hand, and with a casual wave of his hand, he knocked the rainbow sword that neared him away. Li Fan felt as though he had been reborn. No matter how fast the 7 swords were, they could not escape his notice. Good lad, you are indeed strong. Sensing the changes in Li Fan, the old man was not angry. Instead, he was delighted. This is the first time in my life that I have met a good seedling like you. My rainbow sword will depend on you to inherit it. You create the rainbow sword, and I release the 7 stars. As Li Fan spoke, he threw the hero's sword in front of him and separated his hands. His lawful embodiment of heaven and earth had been trained to the bone. If he wanted to, he could learn the other party's moves at any time. The hero's sword split into 2, 2 into 3, and soon there were 7 swords floating in front of Li Fan. The old man was clearly surprised. What method did Li Fan use? It seemed like he had learned his rainbow sword. Li Fan pressed his hands down, and the 7 sword shadows shot towards the old man. Dang dang dang. The old man recalled his 7 rainbow sword shadows and deflected the sword shadows released by Li Fan. But Li Fan had already arrived in front of the old man at some point in time. His eyes shone with a golden brilliance as he stretched out his hands. His hands were clearly empty, but it was as if he was holding a treasured sword as he slashed vertically. At the same time, the hero's sword appeared above the old man's head. God slaying. This was the trump card that Lu Jinshan had created before he died. Lu Jinshan would only use this move when facing a true opponent. Unfortunately, he had never met such an opponent in his life. But now, Li Fan had allowed this move to see the light of day again. The profundity of Godslayer was to send all of the true energy in the body into the hero's sword, and then have the hero's sword transform the true energy into sword energy, which would then be used to slash down at the enemy's head. But that was where Li Fan's awesomeness lay. Not only did he learn this move in one day, but he also added his own improvements. Li Fan had once absorbed electricity, so he combined this move with his own electricity. What erupted from the treasured sword was not sword energy, but a real thunderbolt. This thunderbolt was about as thick as a fist. It was released from the treasured sword and struck Chang Hong's body. Even though Chang Hong managed to raise his sword in time, he was still hit hard by the blow. His entire face turned black, and all of his hair stood on end. Chang Hong spat out a mouthful of black smoke, took 2 steps back, and looked at Li Fan again. Fuck, Li Fan was already very weak. This strike had almost used up all of his true energy. This god-slaying was his trump card. After using it, if the enemy did not die, he would be the one to suffer. And he had also used up all of his rejuvenating pills. This time, he had come out in a hurry, so he did not bring too many rejuvenating pills with him. If he had known earlier, he would have asked Luo Xiaofeng for more. Li Fan could only rely on his own strength to recover his true energy, but the speed was much slower than the rejuvenating pills. Fuck, I'm used to taking pills. If it really doesn't work, I can only use the dragon toad's absorption of water to plunder some true energy from this old man. I really don't want to use this move unless I have no other choice. After all, I promised Guan Wenbao. Young man, I'm getting more and more interested in you. The old man's face turned black, but he still laughed happily. Interesting, interesting. Haven't you been struck enough? Li Fan asked. Do you want to try again? He reached out his hand, and the hero's sword was pulled back into his hand. He pointed at the old man and scolded. Young man, lying is boring. Chang Hong looked at Li Fan with a smile. You don't have any true energy now. What do you want to use again? Li Fan wanted to curse. This old man was too crafty. He actually saw through it. Old mister, do you think that you're going to win now? Although he was seen through, Li Fan only cursed in his heart, but his face was still very calm. What? Don't tell me you still have some strength left. Chang Hong didn't believe that this Li Fan could play any tricks. Old mister, try and move now. Li Fan crooked his finger at Chang Hong, and the old man seemed to sense that something was wrong. Just as he moved, his black face turned a little pale. What method did you use? The old man asked. Just now, with the lightning, I took the opportunity to inject a bit of my true energy into your meridians. Li Fan completed a move in the air. This move could only be used when the enemy was weak. Since the old man's meridians were temporarily locked, it proved that he was currently very weak. Old mister, you don't have any strength left, right? A grandmaster of a generation is nothing more than this. If I were 10 years younger, I wouldn't be able to say that. The old man sighed. It seemed that his current state was because of his old age. Don't smear gold on your face. You don't look old. But I am already 105 years old. The old man winked at Li Fan. He's no longer a young man. The hell? 105 years old. Li Fan looked at this old man a few more times. Fuck his grandpa. It didn't look like it at all. It seemed that practicing martial arts could also increase one's lifespan. Li Fan knew that practicing martial arts could strengthen the body. This old man doesn't have much time left. I want to find someone to inherit my mantle before I die. But it seems that I am not fated with this young man. He sighed and coughed out another mouthful of blood. Although he was a grandmaster of a generation, he couldn't escape the laws of nature. Chang Hong grew old. I've lost. I'm going back to eat chicken legs. Chang Hong threw away the sword and turned to leave. The great elder was stunned. As for Li Fan, he sat on the ground. This battle? It was too difficult. Li Fan wins. Dong Yi announced. He didn't win. In the Dragon Hall, only by walking out alive can one be considered to have won. But at this time, the great elder spoke. Chapter 567. Great Elder, what do you mean by this? Dong Yi frowned and looked at the great elder. You know what I mean. The great elder slowly stood up, and in the surrounding spectator stands, there were many more gunmen. Each of these people took out a pistol and pointed it at Li Fan below. There were about 40 or so gunmen. Normally, Li Fan did not care about them, but now he was too weak, and he was powerless. He sat there with his eyelids drooping. He was very sleepy and seemed to want to sleep. He couldn't care less about the gunmen around him. Whether it was true chi or spirit, he had overdrawn too much. These 5 consecutive battles were truly enough to cause one to break down. He must die today. The great elder said fiercely, there is absolutely no second possibility. Great elder, if that's the case, I can't be a spectator. Feng Xing, escort brother Li out. Dong Yi ordered. I've already expected this. The great elder took out a token with a golden dragon engraved on it and held it up. Golden dragon token. Dong Yi frowned. Although he was smart, he always frowned. That's right, it's the golden dragon token. Once the golden dragon token is out, the 12 saints of the Dragon Hall must obey it unconditionally. The great elder said in a loud voice, all 12 saints of the Dragon Hall, listen to my order. This time, no one is allowed to save Li Fan. The 12 saints of the Dragon Hall, who were adjusting their breathing, all looked unhappy when they heard this. There was nothing they could do about it being forced by the great elder. After all, the golden dragon token was absolute. However, No one noticed that a faint smile had appeared at the corner of Dong Ye's mouth, and it disappeared in an instant. Begin shoot. The great elder ordered his subordinates to kill Li Fan and turn him into a sieve. Li Fan's life was at stake. At this moment, a large French window was suddenly broken. Yu Shi, who was wearing the uniform of the genie guard, broke through the window and landed in front of Li Fan. Fire! The great elder immediately gave the order. More than 40 guns shot out like rain. But what kind of strength did Yu Shi have? She just stood there, flipped the black saber in her hand, and kept waving it, sending all the bullets flying in front of her away. Dang dang dang! Golden sparks flew everywhere, somewhat blinding Great Elder's eyes. The embroidered uniform guards. Why are the embroidered uniform guards here? The first elder couldn't help but roar. 12 saints, go and chase her away. Capture Li Fan. The great elder ordered furiously. My apologies, great elder. The golden dragon token can only be used once. You no longer have the authority to order the 12 saints of the Dragon Hall. The first elder's expression was very ugly. He suddenly felt as if he had been tricked. I'm really sorry. The 12 saints of the Dragon Hall are also people who care about their reputation. Dong Yi raised his voice by an octave and said loudly, Li Fan won this match fair and square. We've lost, so we should be able to accept it. The 12 saints of the Dragon Hall will not interfere with Li Fan's departure today. Those who support my brother, just say yes. The 12 saints of the Dragon Hall all raised their hands in response to Dong Ye's words. No matter what, the match is sacred. They've lost, so they should be able to accept it. The first elder trembled with anger. Dong Yi took the opportunity to say, Brother Li, you should go. Dong Yi, probably can't stay in this Dragon Hall anymore. From today onwards, Dong Yi, will leave the Dragon Hall. Hearing this, the first elder's face instantly turned pale. What are they talking about? Li Fan asked inconsistently. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about them. Let's go. Yu Shi only cared about Li Fan. She wouldn't care about other things. She hugged Li Fan and jumped down from the tall building. Their bodies fell rapidly. Li Fan could feel the roar of the wind. He closed his eyes and enjoyed Yu Shi's embrace. His vision turned black. In the end, he could only see the windows rising rapidly. When Li Fan opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in an express hotel. Yu Shi stood by the bed. The night wind blew on her body, causing the hem of her black vest to flutter in the night wind. As if sensing Li Fan's movement, Yu Shi turned around. With one hand on the knife and the other hand hanging by her leg, she sized up Li Fan. You're recovering well. Yu Shi nodded. In that case, I'll leave. With that, she turned around and left through the window. What the? You should at least leave through the door. Seeing Yu Shi leave so quickly, Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This woman really came and went like the wind. But now that his true chi had recovered a lot, he could basically recover 70% to 80% after a good sleep. Pure yang body was just that cool. Li Fan sat up and looked out the window. Yu Shi had already disappeared. This woman really came and went like the wind. How did she know that he was in the Dragon Hall? Li Fan felt that there must be something wrong. At that moment, the phone in the room rang. Li Fan picked it up and heard that it was Dong Yi. Looks like Brother Li is awake. Dong Ye's laughter came through the phone. How's your body recovering? Better? It's all right. Did you contact Yu Shi? It's not really contact. I just sent a small piece of information. Dong Yi chuckled. I said I would keep you safe. Didn't I do it? Why do I feel like you've used me? Li Fan couldn't help but roll his eyes. Although he was exhausted at the end, he still remembered some parts. How can you say that? We're good friends. I've already left the Dragon Hall, so there's no enmity between us. As for Jiahua, he died in the ring. It has nothing to do with our relationship outside the ring. This was the rule of the pugilistic world. Moreover, Dong Yi didn't want to be enemies with someone like Li Fan. Chang Hong was the treasure of the 12 saints of the Dragon Hall, the strongest old urchin, but he still lost to Li Fan. This kid. His potential was too scary. The god slayer that he taught him probably couldn't be used as a 5-blow thunderstruck. In his hands, it became a lightning-attracting technique. This kid. His future was limitless. Since you're almost recovered, I'll come to pick you up. You haven't had a good time in the imperial capital, right? Li Fan also felt that there were some things he needed to discuss with Dong Yi. My car is already downstairs. Brother, come down after you're done washing up. Dong Yi had already arranged everything. See you tonight. With that, he briskly hung up. This fox. What the hell is he planning? Li Fan thought about how to fight with Dong Yi tonight. Chapter 568. Dong Ye's brain capacity was very high. Although Li Fan was not stupid, he also knew his limits. It was difficult to play with Dong Yi by himself. If Little Four Eyes, Ling Tian, or Lin Yun were by his side, he still had some confidence. But no matter what, he must fight for the conditions that he should fight for. Unfortunately, the military advisor was not by his side. Li Fan wanted to cry but had no tears. He washed up a little, went downstairs, and sat in a black Camry. This Dong Yi was really low-key, using a Camry to pick someone up. Li Fan sat in the car and let the car drive through the urban area of the imperial capital. It was said that the imperial capital loved traffic jams, but it seemed to be much better at night, and the car was basically unimpeded. But it was unknown whether it was intentional or not. The car turned a few rounds on the overpass and finally stopped in front of a bar called Night. Mr. Li, please come in. When the bartenders at the entrance of the bar saw Li Fan, they all bowed to greet him, attracting the attention of some girls. These girls were guessing who this little boy was and why the bartenders were so respectful. Once inside the bar, there was a spacious hall with flashing magnesium lights and deafening music. Directly opposite was a huge dance floor, where men and women were dancing like demons, wantonly enjoying their unique night. And around the dance floor were rows of booths. Many scoundrels gathered here in groups of 3 to 5, drinking and flirting, very happy. There was also a high stage in front of the dance floor, where 3 beautiful night girls were leading the dance. These 3 girls were also of the highest quality. Their looks and figures made the men below scream crazily. Mr. Li, this way please. The bartender led Li Fan all the way through the side. When passing by the bathroom, Li Fan saw a man and a woman pressed against the wall, kissing wildly. Mr. Li, this way please. The bartender was very careful, leading Li Fan to the 2nd floor from the side of the stairs, to the front of a private room. Dong Yi was already sitting inside, and Feng Xing was standing by the door. Brother Li, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Please come in. Dong Yi was very enthusiastic and invited Li Fan to sit beside him. Is this a place to eat? Li Fan looked around. This luxurious private room looked like a place to drink and play with girls. Little brother, no matter what, you're a reputable person in the Jianghu. In this circle, if there's anything to discuss, come here. How can I conspire with you? Li Fan said angrily. At this time, a group of scantily clad, beautiful and sexy girls walked in from the door. They stood in a row and bowed to Li Fan and Dong Yi in unison. Hello, boss. Li Fan sat on the sofa again. Men need to experience a different life from time to time. Boss, I am from Bing City. I'm from Hangzhou. I'm from Jinan. Chongqing. Dongguan. The girls began to introduce themselves, and Li Fan was a little dazzled by them. It's my treat today. Little brother, you can choose whatever you want. Dong Yi said beside him, you can order as many as you want, as long as you're happy. Today's main purpose is to discuss business, so I don't want too many. 4 or 5 will do. Li Fan hesitated for a moment and finally chose a girl from Suzhou. She looked soft and had the style of a Jiangnan Watertown beauty. After all, if there were too many girls here to discuss business, it would be messy. Dong Yi chose a girl from the northeast. She looked like she could drink, mainly because her breasts were not small. The Suzhou girl had been gently pouring wine for Li Fan and feeding him fruits. Li Fan felt that she was not like a drinking girl, but more like a good wife and mother. Little brother Li, I'm sorry for wronging you today. As long as brother Dong's compensation is enough, This little grievance is nothing. Good. Little brother, you don't beat around the bush. I appreciate it. Dong Yi nodded. I invited you here today to discuss this matter with you. He put the wine cup on the table and looked at Li Fan. I've already left the Dragon Hall, and the Dragon Hall's 12 saints have followed me out. We plan to start our own business and want to do it with you. Cooperate with me? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Yes, I think little brother's business has a bright future. Dong Yi chuckled. My Dragon Hall's 12 saints are not ordinary people. Other than fighting, they have no other skills. Being an armed escort and earning some money to spend, that's what they do. I understand what you mean. Li Fan nodded. If you want to invest in my escort agency, bring your people in as well. Yes, we'll pay for it. Dong Yi nodded. This is already the best compensation for little brother. After all, I don't have anything else but people. All right, I won't reject you if you want to do it together. Li Fan nodded. If that's the case, I have to thank you, Brother Dong. What primordial escort agency lacked the most right now was manpower. Dong Yi had 11 pugilistic world experts with him, and he even had the backing of a grandmaster. Where else could he find such a good deal? But is it really that simple? Li Fan was not stupid. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Of course, you have to pay them. Dong Yi said, they can't be underpaid if they work for you. If they really work for me, I definitely won't skimp on their wages. Li Fan said matter-of-factly, do I look like the kind of person who would skimp on their wages? But, Brother Dong, are you only going to invest in dry shares? Of course, only dry shares. Although I've been in the Dragon Hall before, I'm actually very clean and very poor. Hearing Dong Ye's shameless complaint about being poor, Li Fan only wanted to curse. You're poor? Do you want to compete with me? Damn it, I have to extort some money from Lu Shinan. Since he had demolished the Dragon Hall, he had to ask Lu Shinan for a few months' worth of these people's wages. After all, his escort agency had just started to make a profit and had just balanced its income and expenditure. These 11 people were all top-notch experts, and it would cost a lot to hire them. I want 50% of the shares. Dong Yi extended 5 fingers. Brother, you're kidding me. Li Fan wasn't stupid. He wouldn't agree to it just like that. 20, no more. 40, not 1 cent less. 30, not 1 cent more. Dong Yi looked at Li Fan a few more times. Such a vulgar bargain. I'll make it a perfect 35, okay? Deal. These 11 experts were too important to Li Fan. It was not a loss to give Dong Yi 35% of the shares. After all, these 11 people were here because of Dong Yi. It's a pity. The 12 saints of the Dragon Hall are no longer here, Dong Yi thought for a moment. From today onwards, we'll be called the Yanjing 11 Riders. Chapter 569. Dong Yi gave his little group a nice name and merged it into Li Fan's escort agency, working alongside Li Fan in the future. Brother, let me be clear. The 11 cavalrymen of Beijing will not listen to your orders except for work matters. Don't worry, I won't let them do anything out of line. Li Fan assured him, their only business is work. But if something happens to the agency, they have the responsibility to protect it. That's not a problem. I will sign a contract with you later. Dong Yi nodded. We will list out these matters one by one. I will also list out 10% of the shares for Lu Shinan. This was something that Li Fan had discussed with Lu Shinan before. His agency was indeed in need of funds. Without some startup capital, the agency would not be able to survive. If there was money to be made, then bringing Lu Shinan along would be good. Alright, this will not affect our cooperation. Dong Yi had no objections. This way, Dong Yi and Lu Shinan would have a total of 45% of the shares, and he would have 55%, occupying an absolute controlling position. As long as he held on to this, the rest would not be a problem. Alright. Let's not talk about business then. Let's drink. Although the matter with the Dragon Hall was not pleasant, Li Fan's trip to Beijing this time was fruitful. A hero's sword, a god slayer swordplay, and 11 top-notch experts. Come, let's toast to our cooperation. The two of them toasted each other. Dong Yi knew that Li Fan was hungry, so he ordered a lot of food for him. Li Fan did not expect the KTV's food to be so good. He took a bite of the authentic double-cooked pork and was a little surprised. Your KTV chef is from the Northeast? No, there is a Northeast restaurant next to us. The Suzhou girl's voice was soft and sweet. These dishes are all bought from their house. Oh, I see. Li Fan came to a sudden realization. He thought to himself that it made sense. It was just a KTV, so there was no need to hire a chef. Right, what's your name? Li Fan smelled the Suzhou girl's body fragrance and suddenly remembered that he hadn't asked for her name. Boss, my name is Susu. The girl said sweetly. Boss, you're not a local? Yes, I'm from out of town. My friend invited me over to play. Li Fan glanced at Susu's chest. It was obvious that it wasn't as big as that northeastern girl, Dong Yi. The women of Jiangnan were all delicate and petite. These words seemed to be true. Li Fan drank a few cups with the girl. Although she was a Jiangnan girl, her alcohol tolerance was quite good. The girl's expression didn't change even after drinking so many cups. Sure enough, in this line of work, one's alcohol tolerance couldn't be underestimated. Li Fan and Dong Yi both drank a lot, and after the business matters were basically settled, they left separately. Brother, do you want to play some sex? Big brother will take you. After drinking a few cups, Dong Yi seemed to be very happy. He actually put his hand on Li Fan's shoulder and asked, I don't want to. Li Fan swore that he would give his first time to the woman he loved. I didn't expect you to be so conservative. Dong Yi smiled faintly. Li Fan said righteously, Believe it or not, I am a man who values my chastity. Okay, then I won't force you. I'll send someone to send you back and bring you to sign the contract tomorrow. Okay, but I want to walk around by myself tonight. Li Fan had just made an appointment with Susu to let Susu bring him to a night market in the capital to have a bite or two. Naturally, Li Fan settled the bill as per normal. Okay, I won't disturb you anymore. See you tomorrow. I'll send someone to pick you up during the day. Okay, bye-bye. Li Fan said goodbye to Dong Yi, while Susu changed into a small dress and walked out. Boss, let's go. Okay, where to eat? Not far from here is Gue Street. Let's go to Huda to eat spicy crayfish. That place is quite famous in Gue Street. Okay. This was Li Fan's first time in the capital. In fact, he just wanted to taste the local snacks. He really didn't consider anything to happen with this beauty Susu. As for Susu, she led Li Fan out of the KTV and hailed a taxi. In the car, Susu casually leaned on Li Fan, like a pair of intimate lovers. Susu, Li Fan was really curious. Although he knew it was rude, he couldn't help but want to ask a question. Susu lazily made a sound, like a lazy kitten. The window was open, and the night wind sent the ends of Susu's hair to Li Fan's nose, tickling him. Don't you feel awkward leaning on me so casually? It's all right. Susu wasn't angry and said softly, To me, it doesn't matter whose shoulder I lean on. Isn't it hard in this line of work? A little, but I drink every day and earn some money. Susu casually replied, It's just that I occasionally meet difficult customers. If I meet someone like Boss who has a good temper, I can drink less. Have you never thought of changing your profession? My education is low. Susu's voice was a little bitter. Moreover, my mother is seriously ill, and my brother has to go to school. If I don't earn money, how am I going to support them? All right, I was rude. Li Fan quickly changed the topic. Let's go eat crayfish. Susu seemed to be a little sad. She simply hugged Li Fan and buried her face in his embrace. Because any hug would do, so his hug would also do. Li Fan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The car drove very quietly. Although it was said that the drivers in the capital were very talkative, the driver of this car was a man of few words. Susu also seemed to have fallen asleep. She leaned against Li Fan's embrace and occasionally rubbed against him, just to adjust to a more comfortable position. Sir, we're here. The car drove to an intersection. Although he couldn't bear to, Li Fan still pushed Susu to wake up. Susu, we're here. Li Fan looked at Susu, who was rubbing her eyes. Why don't we not eat tonight and send you home? Look at you, you're so sleepy. How can that be? My spicy crayfish. However, Susu licked her lips lightly, revealing her foodie nature. Let's go, boss. Susu pushed open the car door and led Li Fan out of the taxi. Li Fan followed Susu into the alley and suddenly felt that something was wrong. A roadside stall? In this kind of place? This place was too dark and too secluded. That's right, boss. Susu revealed a meaningful smile. After I catch you, I can go eat crayfish. Chapter 570. So, I'm sorry, boss. Susu made a mischievous face at Li Fan. Sorry to trouble you to come with me. You think you can trap me? Li Fan raised his leg to leave, but found that his body couldn't move, as if he was locked by something. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a 15 or 16-year-old boy standing behind him on his right. He stepped on Li Fan's shadow without looking up, playing with his phone. I'm sorry, boss, Qingyu this kid, whoever's shadow he steps on, that person can't move. Li Fan slightly frowned, feeling that something was wrong. This is definitely not some kind of martial arts. How can there be a martial art that can step on shadows? Look at your surprised little eyes. This is a superpower. Susu told Li Fan. Qingyu is a mutant. This is his ability. And we, the Shield of China, are responsible for dealing with special cases related to superpowers. So, you're not a drinking girl at all, your mother is seriously ill, your brother is in high school, it's all fake? What do you think? Susu winked at Li Fan. Why is the Shield of China looking for me? I don't have superpowers. Li Fan asked. Boss, you can't say that. Susu walked in front of Li Fan, took out Wang Xiaoyuan's good guy card from his pocket. Look, what is this? I picked this up. Li Fan rolled his eyes and began to act shamelessly. By Lin Luo, 19 years old, private second high school's second-year student, about to enter third year. His favorite subject is English and he's your desk mate, right? By Lin Luo? Who is that? What are you guys talking about? Li Fan played dumb. Susu seemed to be a bit angry. Humph, stop playing dumb, it's useless. The Shield of China is a state organ, paying attention to every mutant. Bai Lin Luo was now a mutant. If he was not properly controlled, he would become a threat to society. Just like you, little tyrant Li Fan. Oh? I'm a threat to society? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Uncontrollable power is a threat. Susu reminded Li Fan, have you forgotten about Vladivostok Square? His words made Li Fan shudder. How could he forget Vladivostok Square? At that time, his hands were stained with the blood of countless people. They were all mercenaries who did bad things. I killed them to uphold justice for the heavens. Li Fan calmed down and said, what about the old warehouse in a city? Susu asked again. Li Fan was a little speechless this time. He had indeed gone a little overboard at the warehouse. Little tyrant, no one can control you. Do I still need to say more about your fate? Susu said bluntly, but you're not a mutant, so you're not under our control. Otherwise, I'll deal with you personally. I'm curious, what's your superpower? Hee, boss is really cunning. I won't tell you. Susu shook her head mischievously. Boss, you can slowly guess. But now, you have to cooperate with us and come with us. Do you really think I'll go with you? Li Fan suddenly smiled. Susu pouted. Boss is really annoying. You're already like this. Do you still want to be brave? I'm not trying to be brave. I just want to tell you that I'm a martial artist. I never give in. With that, the great war god suddenly popped out from Li Fan's body. This great war god was not controlled by the ability. It suddenly hit Qingyu, who was next to him, with a Bear King seal. Qingyu was playing with his phone with his head down. How could he notice what happened here? Before he could react, his entire person had already been sent flying out. He was sent flying, so naturally he could not step on Li Fan's shadow. Li Fan stretched his muscles and bones, then smiled at Susu, who was standing in front of him in a daze. Sorry, I seem to have accidentally been able to walk. This time, it was Li Fan's turn to wink at Susu. Boss, you're so naughty. Why did you come out? If you're tied up, it'll save you a lot of trouble. I'm sorry, but I just like trouble. As Li Fan spoke, he was already standing behind Susu. Think about it, how are you going to apologize? Boss, you really shouldn't have provoked me. Susu sighed. She suddenly turned her head and clenched her fist at Li Fan. Crack. There seemed to be a crisp sound. Li Fan felt a sharp pain in his lower body. He couldn't control it at all. He screamed and knelt on the ground, clutching his penis. What the hell? What kind of ability was this? Exploding eggs? I'm sorry, boss. My superpower is specifically for men. Susu winked at Li Fan. Everyone likes to call me the exploding eggs heroine. Fuck. This ability was too fucked up? No, it was exploding eggs. Li Fan tried to use his true energy to protect his crotch, but Susu pinched him and he fell down again with a scream. He finally realized that Susu's superpower was directly acting on his balls. This was too unscientific. How was he supposed to play? This move was simply impossible to guard against. Stop pinching, I admit defeat. Li Fan was about to cry. Boss Li, where's your spirit from just now? A martial artist, don't give in. Susu asked. A real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. Let go of my balls first before we talk. Li Fan was in extreme pain. This thing was being pinched and he really couldn't do anything about it. Admit defeat, he could only admit defeat. Look, I told you to be obedient a long time ago, but you didn't listen. Susu suddenly took out a pair of handcuffs and directly cuffed Li Fan's hands. These handcuffs are made of super alloy. Even if you have true energy, it will be very difficult to break them. Boss Li, don't worry, we are just communicating with Boss Li, we will not hurt Boss Li. Why don't you come with us? Li Fan got up and pointed at his dirty clothes. Can you help me pat the dust off my clothes? Sure. Qing Yu, come and help Boss Li pat the dust. Oh. Because Li Fan had shown mercy, Qing Yu got up as if nothing had happened and walked towards Li Fan. Forget it. Let's go. Li Fan secretly rolled his eyes. Boss Li, don't play any tricks. Otherwise, I won't be lenient next time. Susu raised her slender hand towards Li Fan. Be careful of the eggs. Li Fan lowered his head, but the corner of his mouth slightly rose. This girl, did she really think that he was a coward? What kind of organization is this Huaxia Shield? I must personally go in and take a look. Little Four Eyes, this time, let me protect you. Chapter 571. Li Fan was sent to the secret base in Kyoto by these two mutants with superpowers. This was the first time Li Fan came to an official organization. With one look, he could tell that the Shield of China was not lacking in money. In the large office, there were many staff working. They are all mutants? Li Fan looked at the staff coming and going and could not help but ask. Of course not, they are just ordinary staff. Susu said, do you think mutants are radishes or cabbages that can be found everywhere? These mutants are 1 in a million, much less than your martial artists. Therefore, these people are either the government's priority targets of protection, or they are targets that must be suppressed. Then what do you want to do to Bai Lin Luo? Li Fan asked. That depends on his choice, and you will have to work hard for it. Susu blinked at Li Fan, her meaning was very clear. Your words, it sounds like a threat. It's not a threat, it's a choice. Susu shrugged. Do you want to go against the government? This is the government with just your small escort agency. Can you go against the government? Never thought about it, but even if I don't make a choice, you can't just casually do anything to Bai Lin Luo. Li Fan said, even if it's the government, they can't just casually arrest people without any evidence. Bai Lin Luo has not done anything evil. If you dare to mess around, even if it's the government, I will go against it. What a big tone, Boss Li. Susu giggled. Bai Lin Luo, this person? Although he did not use his ability to do bad things, but with you, I'm afraid he did not do anything good. You need evidence to back up your words. Li Fan was very confident in this point. Every time he did something, he would not let Bai Lin Luo directly appear. Usually, Little Four Eyes would rely on prearranged tasks or voice guidance. To catch him, the Shield of China would not be able to do it. Bai Linlua's awakening of his superpower was something that happened recently, and the Shield of China had probably been targeting him for a short period of time. Susu led Li Fan deeper and passed by a corridor. There were a few prison cells in the corridor that were blocked by transparent glass. Most of them were empty, and there was a man sitting there in a daze. Who is this man? Li Fan looked at him. This man was about 40 years old, and his eyes were a little empty. He's not a good person. Just as Susu finished speaking, the man seemed to have woken up after seeing Li Fan. He suddenly stood up, and 4 tails suddenly grew out from his back. Each tail had a sharp blade on it. Dang 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 dang, they hit the glass. Wow, this guy even has a tail behind his butt. Li Fan was a little surprised and instinctively took a step back. After this person awakened his ability, he killed everyone in a village. Damn, so cruel. Yes, if the mutant does whatever he wants, the lethality he can cause is unimaginable. Susu sighed. I hope that Bai Linlua will not take this path, or else he will also be locked up here. Is this glass strong enough? Li Fan seemed to want to give it a try. He lifted his leg and kicked the glass. Bang! What kind of strength does Li Fan have? The strength of his kick was not light. The glass that the mutant was locked in was directly broken by his kick. The man locked inside laughed loudly. I'm free. I'm free. I'm going to kill all of you. He was very happy and his eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Susu was shocked. This was not a small matter. She immediately reached out and tried to use her ability to destroy this guy's confidence. However, the other party laughed loudly. Idiot, this daddy has already cut that thing down there. From today onwards, no one can defeat me. His 4 tails started to move violently. Each of them became more than a meter thick and more than 10 meters long. It was as if he was going to start a massacre here. It's over, Susu moaned, feeling a kind of despair. However, at this moment, Li Fan used chasing deer and kicked this guy to the ground. Li Fan stepped on his head and asked Susu, is this person really that strong? Susu felt that she did not want to speak. Li Fan would not be able to make friends by doing this. This guy's hands were still cuffed, but he still had the strength to kill the mutant. Li Fan was brought to a very spacious office. An old lady was sitting inside, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. She was hugging a book in her arms, but she was taking a nap there. The temperature in the room was very high. Once he entered, he felt warm. Chief, we brought him back. After Susu entered, she respectfully greeted the old lady. However, the old lady did not utter a word. It was obvious that she was sleeping soundly. Susu was very helpless. Our chief sleeps early. Why don't we talk to her tomorrow? What's the point? Just wake her up. As Li Fan said that, he let out a fierce tiger's roar. The old lady woke up with a start and sneezed loudly. Li Fan immediately felt a cold air assaulting him. His entire body was frozen in ice. Li Fan was stunned. What the hell is this? I forgot to tell you. As long as the chief sneezes, she will spit out a terrifying cold air. And when she wakes up, she will definitely sneeze. Fuck. Why didn't you say so earlier? Li Fan finally knew why the air conditioning was so hot here. Who is it? The old lady pushed up her gold-rimmed glasses and sized up Li Fan in front of her. Young man, your face is full of killing intent. You don't look like a good person. Young man, young people should be righteous. You can't be so fierce. Not good, not good. The old lady's mouth was quite sharp. Li Fan looked at her. Other than the fact that she would spit out ice when she woke up, she was no different from an ordinary old lady. Grandma, you're the leader here? Li Fan relied on his young age and directly called her grandma. Yes, they all said yes. Actually, I don't want to be one either. It's so fun to coax my grandson at home. That little grandson of mine seems to be going to university this year. I told him to apply for a popular major. But he insisted on applying for an unpopular major. Learning some jewelry appraisal. Not obedient, really not obedient. Li Fan was very helpless. She really started to talk about family matters. Susu was also very embarrassed. She quickly reminded the old lady, "Chief. This is Li Fan. Little tyrant Li Fan." "Who is that?" The old lady was dumbfounded. "Bai Lin Luo. Bai Lin Luo's good friend." "Bai Lin Luo, who is that?" The old lady was still dumbfounded. The mutant with the good man card ability. Susu was also helpless. Chapter 572. Oh, the mutant with the good guy card? The old lady seemed to be suddenly enlightened. Susu was a little excited. "Chief, you remember? Who is that?" In the end, this sentence made Susu's mood fall into an ice cellar. There was no way to talk anymore. "Grandma, it's him." The little boy, Qin Yu, who was playing with his phone, finally could not help but take out a photo from his phone and show it to the old lady. "Oh, it's him. This boy is quite good." The old lady pushed her glasses and looked at Susu kindly. "Susu, you don't have a boyfriend yet, right? Grandma can introduce you to one?" Susu was in a state of collapse. "Chief, let's talk about business. Finding a partner is also business. Getting married and having children is a great responsibility of mankind. However, we must implement the country's basic national policy. We can't have more than one child in a family. It's a two-child policy now. Besides, what does this have to do with getting married and having children?" Susu wanted to cry but had no tears. What was going on? Li Fan suddenly let out another fierce tiger's roar in the forest. The devilish sound directly poured into their brains, giving Susu and Qin Yu a fright. The old lady was also startled, and her eyes seemed to regain some clarity. "Li Fan?" The old lady sat up straight, and the kindness on her face disappeared, turning into a kind of seriousness. She looked at Li Fan with a somewhat fierce gaze. "You're finally here." The old lady's aura changed, and she had the demeanor of a phoenix among men. She was a high and mighty person, and that kind of temperament was not concealed at all. Li Fan was a little surprised. Was this old lady still that old lady with dementia from before? "Susu, it's been hard on you." The old lady gave Susu a smile, making her extremely happy. "Comrade Chief, I don't know why you spent so much effort to get me here. Are you going to treat me to a meal?" Li Fan's expression did not show the slightest bit of panic, and it was very natural. It was as if he was really not a prisoner, but a guest of honor here. "Li Fan, you're quite bold. Do you know where this is, the Special Abilities Bureau?" The old lady adjusted her glasses and looked at Li Fan seriously. "What's wrong with the Special Abilities Bureau? Do they eat people?" Li Fan smiled. "Or do you want to put me on trial? I'm sorry, although I'm a little Chunibyu, my luck is bad. I don't have any special abilities. I am not the mutant that you speak of, and you have no right to detain me. But if you want to treat me to a meal, I don't mind being your guest. Whether you're a guest or an enemy here depends entirely on your attitude." The old lady's words were concise and to the point, as if she was giving Li Fan an ultimatum. "What kind of attitude do I have? How about I stand here and sing the national anthem for you?" Li Fan cleared his throat as if he was really going to sing. "Be serious." Susu reminded Li Fan, "This is our director. Be careful of the director's temper. She already lost her temper once, okay?" Li Fan gestured to the ice on his body. "Fuck, this old lady can freeze people with a sneeze. There's no justice in this world. Li Fan, you don't have to act like a rogue here. This is the Special Abilities Bureau, and I have absolute authority." The old lady said, "I'm doing this for your own good. I'm letting you choose your own way out. By the time I help you choose, it will be too late for you to regret it." "How boring. A bunch of people are threatening me here." Li Fan curled his lips. "The imperial capital is really boring. There are too many people who feel pain in the ass. Boss Li, why don't you understand? We are protecting Bai Lin Luo and you. I have the ability to protect myself and Bai Lin Luo. I don't need your help." Li Fan said coldly. "Why don't you understand?" Susu sighed, while the old lady waved her hand. "Li Fan, you can go." We won't force you to stay. But before you go, I want you to see something. What do you want to see? Just show me. Li Fan had a fearless look. The old lady turned on the screen behind her, and many human corpses appeared on the screen. Each of them died in a miserable manner with their skulls peeled open. Even if you don't want to treat me to a meal, don't show me such disgusting things. Li Fan curled his lips. You're making me lose my appetite. These are all mutants. The old lady told Li Fan, do you think mutants are invincible in this world? Of course not. After all, they are still mortals and need to eat and sleep. At the same time when they gain power, danger is also approaching them. You mean, these mutants were killed by someone? The one who killed them is a terrorist organization called Hunter. The old lady's face was a bit heavy. This organization specializes in hunting mutants and using their genes to make mutant weapons. These people believe in some fanatical religion and think mutants are heresy, so they kill them without mercy. There's actually such a perverted organization. It had to be said that this time, Li Fan was taken aback. In this world, fanatics are the scariest people. In the past, a certain terrorist organization in Europe committed so many heinous crimes because of their fanatical religion. Li Fan, don't look down on this society. China is big and there are many experts. This is true. But the world is bigger. Every country has different experts. They are countless. Moreover, they are organized and disciplined. China's shield is a special department set up by China to deal with this. As for the other one, you should be familiar with it. They are the Imperial Secret Service. Both organizations have a lot of power and are active in the underworld. The old lady's words made Li Fan agree. So, what do you want? Just say it. Li Fan signaled the old lady to not beat around the bush. Then listen carefully. The old lady's expression turned serious. Just when she was about to speak, her eyes softened. She kindly asked Li Fan, young man, you are so energetic. Grandma can help you find a partner? Li Fan and Susu were speechless at the same time. Li Fan tried to use the demonic voice to pour into his brain again, but was stopped by Susu. Don't use that move. It will hurt the chief's brain. What's wrong with your chief? What else can it be? She's old and has dementia. Susu sighed. She is still in the early stage. She will only get sick from time to time. In a few years, I'm afraid it will get more and more serious. Then she should retire and enjoy her remaining years in peace. Can't. Susu shook her head. China's shield has entered a hollow era. We have no successor. Chapter 573. The Hollow Era? Li Fan did not understand what she meant. Back then, China's shield had many mutants. There were 12 A-class mutants. Susu's lively face turned gloomy. They were known as the 12 Shields. Above them, there were 3 S-class mutants. They were known as the Guardians of China. Below them, there were countless B-class and C-class mutants. However, we fell into a trap, a terrifying trap. Hunter's people slaughtered all the mutants. The only survivor was the director. Now, other than the director, there are only 5 mutants left. There isn't even a single A-class mutant. Li Fan was stunned when he heard that. He was shocked by Hunter's strength. Secondly, there were too few mutants here. 6 mutants, and an old lady with dementia. As for the remaining mutants, Li Fan did not want to mention Qingyu and Susu. Both of their abilities were too strange. One could step on people's shadows, and the other could crush people's balls. These 2 people could deal with Qingyu as long as they didn't let him step on their shadows. But to deal with Susu, they could just let the women do it. Hunter is getting stronger and stronger. China's shield exists to punish those evil mutants. Secondly, it's to unite everyone and protect the mutants. Susu said, this is a heavy responsibility. Li Fan, do you understand what I mean? I know what you mean, but Bai Lin Luo is under my protection. We are brothers. I will not let anything happen to him. Oh my God, why are you like this? Susu was distressed. I've already said this much and you still want to object? Why should I agree? You guys are weak, but I'm not. Whoever dares to touch my brother will have to step over my dead body. Li Fan's temper was like this. Once he was stubborn, even 9 bulls could not pull him back. Sister Susu, forget it. Qin, you could not help but speak up. We will rely on ourselves. I'm just curious. Can't you guys just talk to Bai Linluo? Why me? Li Fan was very puzzled. We've looked for Bai Linluo. Susu sighed. He only said one sentence. If you don't allow it, he won't come. Li Fan understood that Little Four Eyes was determined to follow him. Naturally, he wouldn't agree to be the shield of China. You guys. There was no sense of responsibility or crisis awareness at all. So annoying. Susu was no longer happy. Forget it, if you don't want to come, then forget it. If there's a problem in the future, it's your own problem. As she spoke, Susu walked towards Li Fan, giving Li Fan a fright. What are you doing? Don't pinch your balls just because you don't like it. Li Fan was afraid of Susu. Who wants to pinch your balls? I'm just uncuffing you. Susu rolled her eyes. The air conditioner in the room was very hot, and the ice on Li Fan's body had almost melted. The moisture on his body turned into white smoke and rose into the air. In the future, we'll go our separate ways. Susu said, You go your own way, I'll go my own way. If something happens to you, don't look for us. The girl was a little angry. She turned her head away, looking like she didn't want to talk to Li Fan. All right, let's part on good terms. Li Fan chuckled as if he didn't care. No one knew when the old lady had fallen asleep on the chair again. Let's go, I'll send you back. Susu brought Li Fan and was about to walk out when the communication device on the door suddenly rang. It was a woman's scream. No, not good, prisoner 49 has escaped from prison. Her voice suddenly stopped. Susu and Qin Yu looked at each other, their expressions were a little ugly. Prisoner 49? Li Fan frowned slightly. Who's that? A terrifying criminal, a member of Hunter. Susu's expression was as ugly as it could be. Qin Yu, you stay here and protect the chief. I'll go out and take a look. Susu opened the big metal door and walked out with Li Fan. Different from when they came in, the outside was already a mess. In front of them were flesh and corpses, as if it was hell on earth. The lights above their heads flickered, as if a demon had just passed by. Susu couldn't hold it in anymore and vomited in disgust. Previously they were all alive, but now they had all turned into pieces of flesh and blood. Li Fan, hurry up and leave. Susu pushed Li Fan. You're not a mutant. Hurry up and leave. Save me. At this moment, a staff member lying on the ground suddenly woke up. He was still breathing. Dragging his 2 bloody broken legs, he crawled towards Susu and the others step by step. But at this moment, a woman wearing a prisoner's uniform jumped out from the darkness. She held a black big gun in her hand, and the tip of the gun directly pierced into the back of the staff member's head, nailing him to the ground. This woman had blonde hair and blue eyes, and was obviously a foreigner. She pierced through the staff member and said in pure English, "May the gods forgive your sins. Defend. Hurry up and leave, I'll help you stop her." Susu's face was pale. She took a Type 92 from the dead guard beside her and aimed it at the blonde woman in front of her. "Gods, forgive this ignorant sinner." The blonde woman said expressionlessly, "I'm here to redeem you. Go to hell with your god." Susu pulled the trigger, and the bullets crazily shot towards the woman. No matter what, Susu was a semi-agent, and her marksmanship was not bad. She pressed down on the body of the gun, letting the bullets engulf the blonde woman's figure. But the blonde woman stood there, only pulling out the black big gun and holding it in her hand. Dang dang dang. Those bullets seemed to be sucked in and fell to the ground, unable to harm the blonde woman at all. Li Fan stood at the side and watched coldly. This blonde woman was also a mutant? No, that Hunter was someone who hated mutants. The one with superpower should be the weapon in her hand. Li Fan remembered what Susu said. These fanatics of Hunter would kill mutants, then plunder their genes to make some kind of weapon. However, she was clearly a prisoner, so how did she get his weapon? The shield of China was too unreliable. Li Fan was powerless to complain, and the blonde woman had already aimed her gun at Susu. A huge force of gravity suddenly acted on the two of them. Susu directly knelt on the ground, and the Type 95 semi-automatic rifle was also embedded in the floor. "I'm here to redeem you." The blonde woman's gun could change the gravity of metal, and there were countless metal molecules in the human body, all of which were under her control. Chapter 574. Susu kneels on the ground, not even having the strength to stand up. This blonde woman can control the metal molecules in the human body. This ability is indeed a bit heaven-defying. "I'll help you plead guilty now." The blonde woman steps towards Susu. "The gods will forgive your sins." With that, she raises the spear in her hand, aims at Susu's head, and thrusts it down. But at this moment, a hand reaches out and grabs the spear. "Sorry, she belongs to me tonight. If you want to find her, come back tomorrow." Li Fan grabs the spear and says slowly. Susu is stunned. The tall woman is also stunned. "Who are you?" "Under the control of my heavy metal, he can still stand up? Moreover, he could even grab my great spear? This is impossible. My Viper has never failed before. Me? I'm just a guest that hasn't been served well." Li Fan reaches out his other hand and gently touches Susu's forehead. "You're a mutant?" The tall woman looks at Li Fan in surprise but frowns. "No. You're not a mutant. My Viper has no reaction to you. You should just be an ordinary person. Could it be that you've been injected with the angel gene? But my Viper has adjusted the gravity to 5 times. An ordinary person would have already been crushed by their own weight." "Sorry, it's only 5 times. For me, it has no effect at all." Li Fan says, raises his hand, directly knocking the black spear away, and then puts a finger on the tall woman's forehead. "Next, it's time to settle the accounts here. Mortal, do you want to be the enemy of the Great Hunter? I originally didn't want to get involved in this matter. But, little barbarian, you dare to start a massacre in my China. Today is the day you die. In your dreams." The Caucasian woman also spoke fluent Chinese. "The gods will forgive you." With that, she points the black spear at Li Fan again, releases all her power, and releases 10 times the metal pressure. In this way, this man's body should be torn to pieces. However, Li Fan was still standing there unscathed. His body faintly emitted a golden-red radiance, like a coat draped over his body. "True chi, idiot." Li Fan kicked the Caucasian in the face and immediately sent her flying. Although the Caucasian was also someone who had undergone training, her body was not as strong as that of a martial artist. After being kicked by Li Fan for more than 10 meters, he crashed into a pillar behind him and spat out a mouthful of blood. "You are a martial fighter." The tall woman had already understood Li Fan's identity. She clutched her lower abdomen and looked at Li Fan in pain. "Martial fighters are not allowed to interfere with us mutants. Don't you know this rule?" "Then I'm sorry. I don't accept any rules." As Li Fan spoke, he slapped the Caucasian woman across the air. "Ursa Major Seal." Bang! A palm print appeared on the chest of the Caucasian woman. The Caucasian woman suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. "I don't know which god you believe in, but today I, the little overlord Li Fan, sentence you to the crime of hurting my country. Death penalty." As Li Fan spoke, he took out the hero's sword from his back. When Li Fan went out, he also took the sword with him. After all, it was an antique and Lu Jinchan's personal sword. He naturally couldn't just leave it in the hotel. However, Li Fan didn't want to be too ostentatious. He wrapped the hero's sword with a strip of white cloth. Now that Li Fan pulled out the hero's sword, the strip of white cloth spread out. He shook it with true chi and quickly wrapped it around the hilt. "No one can sentence me to death except the gods." The Caucasian woman said unwillingly, "I just helped the gods eliminate some insignificant sinners. They should thank me for saving their souls." "Then you should also think of a way to save your own soul." With the hero's sword in his hand, Li Fan directly stabbed the Caucasian woman's throat. Blood spurted along the long sword. The Caucasian woman didn't even have time to say a few words before she was killed. You just killed her like that? Susu was still in a daze. What kind of tolerance is there for this kind of person? Li Fan coldly snorted. The Shield of China should have executed her a long time ago. That's what led to today's tragedy. With a wave of his hand, he also cut off the Caucasian woman's head, as if to avoid any future trouble. In my world, there will never be such a mistake. Kill them all. Li Fan's move was clean and neat. Susu couldn't say anything. Mr. Li. Nobody knew when the bureau chief opened the big iron door and came out. She looked at the corpses in front of her, her eyes flashed with anger. You run an escort agency, right? Yes, what do you want? Deliver an escort for me. The bureau chief took out a contract. I want a designated escort. Do you dare to take it? There's no escort agency that doesn't dare to take it. Li Fan raised his head. Tell me, what are you escorting? Escort prisoner number 09. The bureau chief said, he's a senior officer of Hunter. We plan to send him to the International Court of Justice for trial. She glanced at Li Fan. The mission will be completed by you and by Lin Luo. Also, can't we just execute the prisoner? Why send him to trial? Li Fan was very unhappy. This mission is so boring. He's a famous murderer of Hunter. This trial is to intimidate Hunter. It's of great significance. The bureau chief said, this is the content of the mission. It's up to you whether you dare to accept it. Of course, why wouldn't I? Li Fan immediately agreed. Tell me where to send it from and I'll set a price for you. From the capital to Geneva. The old madam said, but before we send the goods away, you and Bai Lin Luo must receive some training at the Shield of Huaxia. I still need to undergo training? Hunter is a different kind of enemy. You've come to a new world, so you need to receive new knowledge and training. This escort is too important. There can't be any mistakes. So troublesome, Li Fan felt that the old lady was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Alright, I promise you. It's not like I'll be at a disadvantage after some training. Li Fan agreed first. Hunter treated China like his backyard and started a massacre here. He couldn't let this matter rest like this. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Li Fan wanted to see what kind of background these so-called fanatics had. 2 million. I'll pay half of it as a deposit. Alright, happy working with you. Happy working with you. Chapter 575. Just like that, Li Fan and the Shield of Huaxia made a deal. He could not even return to City A and could only stay with Bai Lin Luo in the Shield of Huaxia. Bai Lin Luo was invited by the Shield of Huaxia the next day to accompany Li Fan for training in the base. The members of Hunter are not strong in combat. They rely on their DNA extraction technology from mutants. The person teaching them was an ordinary staff member. It was said that she was a female doctor who had returned from overseas. She wore a white coat and taught Li Fan and the rest seriously. They used the DNA of mutants to create a weapon with superpower. They named it Weapon X. Hunter's doctrine is to hunt all mutants on behalf of God. All mutants, including potential mutants with mutant genes, are their hunting targets. What do you mean by potential? Bai Lin Luo was famous for his studiousness. He listened attentively and even recorded what the female doctor said in his notebook. Then he looked at Li Fan. Both of his legs were placed on the table. He looked like a boss. The only thing missing was a cigarette in his mouth. The female doctor also knew Li Fan's identity. She did not dare to say anything and just focused on the lesson. During the lesson, her eyes were fixed on Bai Lin Luo. No teacher would dislike a good student like Little Four Eyes. When she heard Bai Lin Luo's question, the female doctor nodded in satisfaction. That's a good question. The potential person is someone who has the gene of a potential mutant. The female doctor explained, that means it could be me, you, or someone else. We all have the possibility of being Hunter's targets. The female doctor pointed at Li Fan. But how do they determine the potential targets? Currently, there are no perfect technological methods. However, Awakening superpower and becoming a mutant usually happens after the development of the brain. That's why they have different abilities from others. The human brain is not fully developed. You all know that. Therefore, according to Hunter's standard, every human is a potential owner of mutant genes. This means that if Hunter wants to say someone is guilty, he can say that that person is guilty. Whoever he wants to kill, he can kill, right? Li Fan concluded. The female doctor nodded, confirming Li Fan's statement. This lesson is almost over. Next is your ability class. The female doctor reminded them. Ability class is a standard class. There are still some students over there. You will have to attend the class with them. Why are there still people? Li Fan was a little dissatisfied. Didn't you say it's just the two of us? We still have some trainees from the training class. When the female doctor said this, her face was full of pride. They are our pride, our glory, and our hope. I'm going to join the party soon. Li Fan impatiently waved his hand. Aren't they just a bunch of brats? Let's do it together. Li Fan was speechless, but the female doctor had made it so. He had signed a contract with the Shield of Huaxia and received a deposit. That 1 million yuan was still lying in his little vault. When he returned to City A, he would hand it over to Lin Yuechen to help the security agency run the operation. Li Fan didn't lack anything else, but money. Since he had signed the contract, he would do whatever the customer asked him to do. Under the guidance of the female doctor, Li Fan and Bai Lin Luo left the laboratory, took the elevator, and went all the way to the roof of the Shield of Huaxia. The top floor was a beautiful room. The 4 walls and ceiling were made of glass, and they could see the scenery outside. According to Su, the glass here was special. They could see outside, but the outside couldn't see them. The classroom is in front. Li Fan opened the door in front, and a large clean classroom appeared in front of them. In this large classroom, they were taught by a somewhat serious bald old man. Opposite him was a group of students who were in class. Su and Qing Yu were also sitting among them, obediently listening to the class. The people sitting here were all young children. The youngest was 7 or 8 years old, and the oldest was only 18 or 19 years old. There were more than 10 of them, and each of them was wearing the Shield of Huaxia uniform with the intern logo on their chests. When they saw Li Fan and Bai Lin Luo walk in, they were curious and excited. It seemed that the Shield of Huaxia hadn't had a newcomer for a long time. Welcome the new students. The bald male teacher said without raising his head. Bai Lin Luo, a summoner. Welcome him. Oh right, and the person beside him. He's his assistant, incompetent. Li Fan was speechless. What the hell was an assistant? A summoning type mutant? Welcome. I'm also a summoner. Welcome to our big family. Almost all the students were welcoming Bai Lin Luo, but none of them paid attention to Li Fan. Bai Lin Luo wanted to say something, but Li Fan lightly patted his shoulder. This was also good. He was happy to be idle. Bai Lin Luo, Li Fan, the two of you sit here. Su pointed to the seat beside her. Li Fan walked over and was about to sit there. But at this moment, a boy wearing a basketball uniform pushed Li Fan away. Stop. The boy scolded, "You're not allowed to sit here." Li Fan raised his eyebrows. "This is your seat." "No, but you're not allowed to sit here." The boy crossed his arms, looking somewhat proud. But what made Li Fan surprised was that the bald male teacher didn't care and just watched this scene calmly. Su also didn't care. She giggled and looked like she was watching a good show. "Okay, then I'll sit somewhere else." Li Fan didn't want to get into this trouble. He was here to earn money. There was no need to make life difficult for the people from Huaxia Shield. Coward. The boy in the basketball uniform ridiculed. Li Fan completely ignored it. He was too lazy to argue with this kind of person. "Stop, did I allow you to leave?" That boy didn't seem to want to let Li Fan go. He stood up and blocked in front of Li Fan. "What? This road is also owned by your family?" Li Fan crossed his arms and looked at the boy in front of him. "Here, the assistant has no right to speak. Remember, the assistant is just a lowly person. He must unconditionally serve us mutants." The boy ridiculed. Whatever I tell you to do, you have to do it. If you want to leave, leave your sword behind and crawl under my crotch. There was no one around to stop him. It seemed that the assistant's position was indeed very low. But Bai Lin Luo stood up and took out Liao Wushuang's card. Li Fan, do you want to kill him? Huh, you want to stand up for an assistant? The boy laughed heartily. Chapter 576. You want to stand up for an assistant? The guy couldn't help but laugh. What a joke. Bai Lin Luo, you newcomer, you have to understand the noble bloodline of us mutants. We are the chosen ones, one of a kind, understand? He seemed to be reminding Bai Lin Luo. Don't get too close to this kind of low-level assistant, it will make you even more inferior. A bunch of hunted guys still have the nerve to show off here? Bai Lin Luo couldn't help but ridicule. If you have the guts, say it in front of Hunter. Kid, you are provoking me. The guy seemed to be afraid when he heard this name. However, he vented all his fear and anger on Bai Lin Luo. He scolded, what do you know? Wait until I master my strength, I will crush every single one of Hunter's people. I will prove that I, Wang Bo, am a true mutant. Fine, save it for Hunter's people. Li Fan lazily said, we don't have time to play with you. I didn't ask you to leave. Wang Bo seemed to be a little angry. He stomped his feet and his skin started to harden. Then he slapped Bai Lin Luo's desk. Newcomer, I have the final say here. The surrounding mutants were excited. Qing Yu directly took out $500 and placed it on the table. Bai Lin Luo and Wang Bo open. I bet $500 on Wang Bo. I bet $300 on Wang Bo. I also bet $1,000 on Wang Bo. Then I'll bet on Bai Lin Luo. Susu had a smile on her face. She had a clear plan in her mind. 250 on Bai Lin Luo. Okay, Bai Lin Luo and Wang Bo 1 to 10. Qing Yu was the banker, but Bai Lin Luo wanted to curse. What's with $250? Is this considered support? Is he trying to take advantage of this opportunity to make a fortune? Brat, be obedient and let me beat you up. Wang Bo's smile was somewhat annoying. I'll be merciful. I'll knock out 2 of your teeth. Li Fan, I'll do it myself. Bai Lin Luo pushed up his glasses, then turned around and said to Susu. Susu, be my girlfriend. No way, I like Li Fan's style. Susu winked at Bai Lin Luo, but you're a good person. Susu naturally knew about Bai Lin Luo's superpower. As soon as she said that, Bai Lin Luo felt nauseous and pulled out a good guy card from his mouth. It's a little disgusting. Fuck, that's disgusting. It hurts my eyes. The surrounding ability users couldn't help but complain. In fact, Li Fan also wanted to complain, but after all, Bai Lin Luo was his brother, so he held back. Bai Lin Luo pulled out a good guy card from Susu, plus the one from Wang Xiaoyuan that Li Fan had just given him. Now, he had 3 good guy cards in his hand. Why is it only B rank? Bai Lin Luo looked at this good guy card and was slightly dissatisfied. I thought it would be A rank. You seem a little dissatisfied. Susu rolled her eyes at him. You can't even be considered a good guy now. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I've already got the good guy card. Bai Lin Luo said as he took Susu's good guy card and threw it in front of Wang Bo. Come out, Susu, the female warrior of Gemini. Following Bai Lin Luo's call, another Susu slowly walked out of the void and stood in front of everyone. She was different from the real Susu. The Susu summoned by the good guy card was wearing a simple black and white armor. Unlike Wang Xiaoyuan, Susu, as a Gemini warrior, held a blade in one hand and a sword in the other. Target, Wang Bo. Bai Lin Luo ordered. Attack him. The warriors summoned by the good guy card strictly followed Bai Lin Luo's orders. The Gemini warrior Susu immediately rushed toward Wang Bo with her sword and blade. Clang. The sword and blade landed on Wang Bo's body at the same time, but were blocked by Wang Bo's hardened skin. Susu's sword and blade were shaken away and she took a step back. You dare insult the woman I like. Bastard. This Wang Bo seemed to be obsessed with Susu. Seeing that Bai Lin Luo had summoned his beloved goddess, he was furious. This guy, Who knows what he would do to the goddess tonight? Maybe he would use this ability to do something shameless. Damn it. How enviable. This bastard. Hand over your card, Wang Bo said as he picked up a chair and smashed it down on Bai Linluo's head. The Gemini warrior Susu's movements were very light and agile. Her body spun as if she was dancing, brandishing her sword and blade. Before the chair fell to the ground, he turned around a few times and cut the chair into several pieces. Thanks. Although he did not know if his summoned warrior could understand, Bai Linluo still expressed his thanks. Although B-rank constellation warriors did not have much intelligence, they could carry out some simple commands. For example, the automatic protection of the master just now. Watch me tear this broken thing of yours apart. Wang Bo was somewhat angry while Susu crossed her arms and snorted coldly. Wang Bo also realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. Watch me tear this imitation of yours apart. I'm 10,000 times better looking than this. Susu nodded her head in satisfaction. Li Fan sighed at the side. This woman is a femme fatale. Li Fan felt that it was better to maintain a distance from this Susu. If not, he would not even know when he would be eaten by her. This woman was indeed the model of Gemini constellation. When she was happy, she would act coquettishly towards you. When she was unhappy, she would drink with you. Bang. Wang Bo suddenly knocked away Gemini Susu, then grabbed a chair and smashed it towards Bai Linluo. But a beautiful lady carrying a shield stood in front of Bai Linluo and used the shield to block the chair. Bang. The chair broke into pieces, but the beautiful lady and Bai Linluo were safe and sound. Sorry, I can summon two beauties to fight for me at the same time. Bai Linluo had a proud smile on his face. What the hell is this? Wang Bo was somewhat surprised. He could actually summon two beauties to fight together. This was too enviable. Damn it, they were all mutants. Why was his ability so enviable? Bastard. Hand over all your cards. Wang Bo extended his hand towards Bai Linluo, but Wang Xiaoyuan raised her shield and used it to hit Wang Bo, causing him to take a step back. This beauty is very powerful. Wang Bo licked his lips. What's her name? Wang Bo, be serious. Wait for a while before being lecherous, you idiot. The people who bet on Wang Bo shouted. I know, you guys can't lose. I'm an old hand. Wang Bo pushed Wang Xiaoyuan away and once again walked towards Bai Linluo. But while Bai Linluo retreated, he continued to command his two beautiful warriors. Chapter 577. Unlike Li Fan, Bai Linluo was physically weak and unwilling to practice martial arts. However, he was very smart, so he had been advising Li Fan and acting as a behind-the-scenes strategist. Although he liked the feeling of strategizing, sometimes waiting for Li Fan and the others to return after completing their tasks made Bai Linluo feel a little empty in his heart. He hoped that he could fight with Li Fan and be part of the plan together. He couldn't do it in the past, but now Bai Linluo had an ability. He wanted to make good use of his ability and become Li Fan's combat power, and become the combat power of Phenomenal. Bai Linluo adjusted his glasses and commanded the two beauties. Wang Xiaoyuan, stay close and protect me. At the same time, knock Wang Bo until he becomes stiff. Susu, attack from behind Wang Bo and hit the back of his neck. Hit there every time. No matter how many times, attack. Bai Linluo kept giving orders while Wang Bo launched attacks again and again. Each time, Wang Xiaoyuan blocked it with her shield. At the same time, Susu's figure was like lightning. She appeared behind Wang Bo every time, and the sword in her hand slashed at his neck again and again. After Wang Bo hardened his body, it was very inconvenient for him to move. His speed and turning were much slower than before. He couldn't keep up with the speed of Gemini Susu. He could only let Susu's sword slash at his neck every time. Although it was only the sword that bounced off each time, the back of Wang Bo's neck had been slashed by a shallow mark. It probably wouldn't be long before his head was chopped off. This made Wang Bo a little anxious. Under the command of Bai Linluo, Susu's combat power at least doubled. Wang Bo could only be annoyed but couldn't do anything. This newcomer is fighting well. Yeah, will Wang Bo lose? Fuck my money. The students next to them wailed. Li Fan was happy to watch the show. However, he didn't understand why Bai Lin Luo didn't use Liao Wushuang's card. That card was an A-level card. The combat power of an A-class card was definitely much higher than that of a B-class card. Could it be that he wanted to use it as a trump card? While Li Fan was thinking about this, Bai Lin Luo was already commanding the two beautiful warriors, and their attacks were getting smoother and smoother. Wang Xiaoyuan, get ready. Bai Lin Luo saw that Wang Bo's eyes were red and suddenly gave an order. Wang Xiaoyuan raised the shield in her hand, and there was a faint silvery glow on the shield. Wang Bo suddenly slammed into Bai Lin Luo. This time, he used all his strength, and his footsteps shook the ground. Wang Bo was quite powerful. After hardening his skin, his brute force was not small. But Wang Xiaoyuan still stood between them and raised her shield at the same time. On the surface of the shield, silver light shone brightly. Holy Shield Defense. Wang Xiaoyuan used the shield to block Wang Bo's attack. Wang Xiaoyuan's body was knocked back a meter, and her feet left 2 gullies on the ground. Fuck! Wang Bo was so angry that he cursed out loud. His brutal charge was actually blocked? But soon he discovered another terrifying thing. This shield seemed to have produced some kind of unique suction ability, and it actually stuck to his body, making it impossible for Wang Bo to break free. Okay. Bai Lin Luo laughed. This Wang Bo was indeed simple-minded. Susu, prepare storm of massacre. Bai Lin Luo gave the second order. Susu carried a sword and a saber, and her body suddenly spun, bringing along a strong storm, and swept towards Wang Bo, who was locked there. Wang Bo's neck was already riddled with wounds. If he were to take this attack, his head would probably be removed. Enough, Qin Yu, stop the two of them. The male teacher finally could not bear it anymore. Although the members of the Shield of China advocated fighting, they did not advocate taking lives. As soon as he gave the order, Qin Yu stepped forward and stepped on the shadow of the warrior, Susu. Although Storm of Massacre was powerful, with the shadow stepped on, the warrior could only stay in place and could not move. Wang Bo, you lost. The male teacher waved his hand. Go back to your seat obediently. Teacher, Wang Bo's spirit was dampened, and he dejectedly sat on the seat at the side. And Bai Lin Luo received more people's liking. Many students began to exchange WeChat with Bai Lin Luo. There were 2 young ladies who looked at him with sparkling eyes. I'll go sit at the back. Li Fan lifted his leg and walked to the back, but was pulled back by Susu. Just sit here. That's not good, right? What are you afraid of? I'm the class monitor, I have the final say. Susu's arrogant manner was quite like a corrupt female cadre. Abusing your power for personal gain. If you really become an official in the future, won't you become China's #1 corrupt criminal? Go to hell, you're the corrupt criminal. Susu was so angry that she laughed. If I tell you to sit, then sit. Don't care about that big idiot Wang Bo. Susu was also angry at Wang Bo. Every day he claimed to be a flower protector. Did she need his protection? He was just a stalker. Fine, I'm just changing places to sleep anyway. This was a class about special abilities. Li Fan could not understand it, so he simply sat down and continued to put his legs on the table. He closed his eyes and prepared to sleep. Although it looked like he was sleeping, in fact, Li Fan was secretly adjusting the true energy in his body and cultivating all the time. The male teacher knew Li Fan's identity, so he ignored him. Wang Bo was unhappy. He curled his lips and said in a low voice, "Motherfucker, you're so arrogant. I'll find a chance to beat you to death." Li Fan was too lazy to care about him, but Susu made her move. She squeezed with her empty hand, and Wang Bo fell from the chair in pain. He knelt there with his butt sticking up and kept screaming like a pig being slaughtered. Student Wang Bo, if you speak casually in class again, this lady will make you China's last eunuch. Yes, class monitor. Wang Bo was about to cry. Although he had the ability to harden his skin, it seemed to be ineffective against Susu. The goddess's ability to crush eggs was simply a bug. Fuck? I should have given you a nickname. Looking at the half-dead Wang Bo, Li Fan empathized with him and subconsciously had goosebumps. What nickname? China's queen? The Widowmaker. Do you want to try? I was wrong. Please give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. That's more like it. Li Fan breathed a sigh of relief. This woman was truly a man's nemesis. Little Four Eyes, let me ask you a question. Although it was a class, Li Fan used telepathy to send his voice into Bai Lin Luo's ears. Why didn't you use an A-rank card in the fight just now? Bai Lin Luo raised the tablet and typed a few words before showing it to Li Fan. Insufficient ability, unable to summon. So there was such a limit to Bai Lin Luo's ability. Chapter 578. Everyone's abilities are limited, Yi Zichen said. During the lesson, the male teacher explained to Bai Lin Luo and the others, you should have seen the battle between Bai Lin Luo and Wang Bo just now. Bai Lin Luo and Wang Bo's abilities are limited. However, if they are constantly trained and strengthened, their spiritual power will be able to break through to a new level. As he spoke, he gave an example. For example, our bureau chief, when she was young, she had a twin sister. Both of them have frost ability, and the bureau chief can only use her breath to control the frost, but her sister can only use her mind. His words just happened to point out Bai Lin Luo's previous explanation, and the studious Bai Lin Luo raised his hand and asked, Teacher, how do I improve my spiritual power? We have a series of learning methods that can guide the improvement of spiritual power in a positive way. The male teacher said, the non-positive way is to stimulate yourself through events such as the death of your parents, the murder of your wife, the abuse of your children, and so on. I don't want this kind of stimulation. Bai Lin Luo hurriedly waved his hand. This method is too heavenly. It's better to rely on positive guidance to slowly make myself stronger. Everyone should use their ability more to slowly strengthen their spiritual power. Bai Lin Luo, you should keep your good guy card open. It's good for your cultivation. The male teacher instructed, and Bai Lin Luo nodded, took out Wang Xiaoyuan's good guy card, and summoned Wang Xiaoyuan to stand beside him. This ability of Bai Lin Luo's was really enviable to all men. To be able to casually summon his own goddess and serve him by the side, this was a bit too fucking blissful. Even Li Fan was a bit envious of Little Four Eyes' ability. Fuck, if only Murong Ying could serve me like this, how awesome would that be? Letting her wash my feet every day, I'm so happy. If this ability was given to me, I'm sure I can do a lot of outrageous things. This ability of mine does not allow physical contact with summon creatures. Bai Lin Luo seemed to have seen through Li Fan's evil thoughts and reminded him, once there is physical contact, the summoning card will be destroyed. Damn, what a pity. Only then did Li Fan understand. No wonder Wang Xiaoyuan would intentionally or unintentionally avoid Bai Lin Luo every time. It turned out that she subconsciously avoided physical contact. Then this special ability would have some drawbacks. If it wasn't done properly, it wouldn't be good, not good. Li Fan felt a little drowsy after listening to the latter part of the story. After all, he did not have any special abilities. He was a pure martial artist and had nothing to do with these things. But at this time, Bai Lin Luo secretly gave Li Fan a good guy card. Li Fan opened it. Holy shit, it was Murong Ying, a female warrior wearing a dazzling golden lion armor, marked as S-Class. When the hell did you? I tried it with Director Murong last time. Of course, I told her about my ability. Bai Lin Luo was afraid that Li Fan would misunderstand and hurriedly explained to him, but I can't even use an A-Class card, let alone this S-Class card. You keep it, maybe you can use it? Although Li Fan did not have any spiritual power, his true energy was indeed effective in using the good guy card. The last few times Li Fan summoned Wang Xiaoyuan, he did it by infusing his true energy into the good guy card. He stuffed the S-Class Murong Ying card into his pocket and continued to doze off. For several days, Li Fan and Bai Lin Luo repeated the same thing. On the 7th day, Li Fan was a little impatient. What the hell are you guys doing? Aren't you going to escort prisoner number 9? When is this stupid training over? Li Fan was really bored and finally couldn't help but complain to Susu. What's the hurry? We're changing classes today. Susu changed into a black special combat suit today, looking like a female warrior. She had a good figure, and the special combat suit was tight, wrapping her buttocks and long legs well. Even Li Fan couldn't help but look at her a few more times. Moreover, didn't your little four eyes gain a lot? Moreover, today's class is different. It's going to be very interesting. It's a practical class. What the hell is a practical class? Follow us and you'll know. Susu brought Li Fan all the way to the basement downstairs. In this basement, there was a very mysterious room that had always been forbidden from others. But this time, Susu took the initiative to lead Li Fan in, which made Li Fan a little surprised. What is this place? This is the Prophet's room. The Prophet ordered that no one but him is allowed to enter this room. Susu said as she walked to the front of the room. For some reason, Li Fan felt that this room was full of strangeness, and did not seem like a good place. Susu lightly knocked on the door and asked respectfully, "Prophet?" Just as she finished speaking, a note was stuffed out from under the door. "Thank you, Prophet." Susu picked up the note. On it was a person's name and his location. Lu Xiaohu, his ability is to eliminate other people's underwear. Susu looked at the note and said, "Damn, what kind of ability is this? It's too funny." Li Fan was very speechless. These are all mutants, their abilities can save the world. Save the world by eliminating other people's underwear. Li Fan was about to collapse. "Big sister, can we not joke around?" "Go to hell, who's your big sister?" Susu rolled her eyes at Li Fan. "I'm still a virgin." Yes. "Miss Virgin, what are we going to do now?" "Practical class is to bring this person back." Susu pointed at the name. "Whoever can bring him back will be considered to have completed this practical lesson mission." "Okay, I wish you success." Li Fan clapped his hands. "I'll wait here for the news of your triumphant return." "You can't run away." Susu stepped forward and held on to Li Fan's arm. "Your little four eyes assistant, you have to help him complete the mission." "Fuck, don't go too far. Don't you know that I'm not an assistant? Then are you at ease letting Bai Lin Luo go on a mission alone?" Susu's words made Li Fan silent. "Fuck, you guys are definitely going to eat me. I really shouldn't have signed that contract with you guys." Li Fan was annoyed to death. "These bastards, they only know how to scam me. Let's go, let's just take it as watching the show." Susu used both the carrot and the stick. Just like that, she dragged Li Fan to find Lu Xiaohu. Chapter 579. Lu Xiaohu didn't know when he had awakened a mysterious superpower. He admitted that he had countless fantasies of having superpowers and becoming a hero that saved the world, or even the universe. When he was with his peers, he fantasized that he was a Superman from another planet that was left on Earth. One day, he would awaken his true power, and then he would punish evil and protect the world. After he entered elementary school, he fantasized that he was a scion from planet Scion and tried to become a super scion to protect Earth. But this fantasy was shattered as he entered high school. After he entered junior high school, he dreamed of being a powerful computer hacker that could control the entire online world, including online games and other people's Alipay passwords. He could even break into girls' phones and pull out their nude photos to look at. Maybe he could even use this to threaten them to do something with him. Didn't the books say that if you want to enter a woman's heart, you have to enter their vagina first? Unfortunately, he didn't have such an opportunity. Lu Xiaohu didn't expect that he had awakened a superpower, but it was useless. At this time, Lu Xiaohu was squatting in the hall on the first floor of the school, looking at the girl walking down the stairs. Damn, even if it was the worst superpower, a genius like me could definitely find a place to use it. At this time, the class leader was wearing a white skirt and walking down the stairs. Although their school required students to wear school uniforms, most students only wore the upper part of the uniform, and the lower part was free to do as they pleased. Now that it was summer and the weather was hot, the beautiful class leader was wearing a short skirt. Good. Lu Xiaohu licked his lips. This skill of his could finally be put to use now. The beautiful class leader had a pair of black leggings under her short skirt. Li Xiaohu always thought that leggings were the most anti-human thing. Class leader, let me liberate you now. Li Xiaohu aimed his palm at the class leader above his head. This was the first time he used his ability, and he immediately removed the class leader's leggings. It was effective. His ability was also effective on the leggings. Li Xiaohu was very excited. Great, this was the meaning of his existence. It was just that without the leggings, the beautiful class leader didn't seem to realize the arrival of danger. She also didn't expect that her leggings would disappear into thin air. Li Xiaohu was very excited. Victory was in sight. Li Xiaohu raised his trembling right hand. At this moment, he felt that he was holding the right hand of God. Come on, the world has to be saved by itself. Let's start with the class leader's underwear. Li Xiaohu was about to make a move, but at this moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from behind and placed on his shoulder. Bro, what you're doing is a little inappropriate. Fuck, who is it? Li Xiaohu was shocked. He turned around and found an unknown boy standing behind him. He was wearing black-framed glasses and had an innocent look on his face. There were two people standing beside him. One was a sexy and beautiful woman, and the other seemed to be a high school student, but his face was full of impatience, and he stood at the side with his arms crossed. What are you doing? Li Xiaohu looked at them vigilantly. These guys, who are they? The class next door? Looking for trouble with me? Li Xiaohu began to recall. He didn't seem to have offended anyone recently. Who would want to make things difficult for him? I don't know you guys. If you want money, I still have some in my pocket. The kid was very timid. He quickly took out his wallet and took out the lunch money from it. Bai Lin Luo hurriedly explained, "Oh, classmate, we're not here to rob your money. Don't joke around. Look at the guy behind you. His face is fierce. He doesn't look like a good person. I know the rules. You can take the money. I've never seen you guys before. Did you see that? I've already said that you look fierce." Susu took the opportunity to laugh at Li Fan, which made Li Fan very unhappy. He crossed his arms and snorted. Li Xiaohu was so scared that he almost knelt down. The senior. Is he dissatisfied with me? The class leader happened to pass by him and gave him a strange look. The class leader was probably thinking, how did I get involved with a few hooligan students? It's over. The class leader's impression of me is going to drop again. Li Xiaohu complained incessantly. His heart was filled with infinite sadness. Today, he had really suffered a double loss. Hey, we're really not the kind of people you think we are. Bai Lin Luo was also very helpless. How could he complete his mission like this? His practice assignment today was to successfully guide Li Xiaohu into the Shield of China. He either had to find a way to eliminate his ability or absorb him into the organization. But now it seemed that it was not going to be easy. Big brother. You're all big brothers, you guys found out. Li Xiaohu had to take out 50 yuan from his crotch. I really didn't mean to hide the money. I stuffed this in this morning, I forgot. We don't want your money. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses, he lowered his voice and said, Li Xiaohu, we know your ability. You're in danger now, you have to come with us. What are you talking about? Li Xiaohu's face was obviously a little ugly. He was actually found out? Impossible. I haven't used my ability much. How could I be found out? At that moment, many thoughts flashed through Li Xiaohu's mind. He was sent to the laboratory to be dissected to study the secrets in his body. Class is about to start, I have to go. Li Xiaohu, don't be afraid, I'm the same as you, we both have abilities. Bai Lin Luo explained, you're in a very bad situation now, coming with us will help you. Li Fan was still muttering in his heart, Bai Lin Luo's eloquence was not bad, why couldn't he deal with this abnormal mutant today? I don't know you guys, goodbye. Li Xiaohu lowered his head, turned around and was about to leave. But Bai Lin Luo stood behind and said to him, there's a group of mysterious people chasing us. If you don't go with us, you'll be in danger. Psycho! Li Xiaohu couldn't help but curse, his pace became more hurried. And Bai Lin Luo stood behind, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Not waiting for Li Xiaohu to go far, at the corner of the corridor, a beauty wearing a lion armor suddenly appeared. She carried a shield in one hand and a big sword in the other. This beauty waved the big sword in her hand, scaring Lu Xiaohu into falling to the ground. The sword brushed past Lu Xiaohu's head and slashed into the wall next to him, leaving a dazzling sword mark. Chapter 580. Lu Xiaohu Run. Bai Lin Luo shouted nervously from behind, "They're here to kill you. Come with us." Lu Xiaohu did not dare to hesitate. He scrambled over to Bai Lin Luo's side. Bai Lin Luo had a serious look on his face as well. He grabbed Lu Xiaohu's arm and dragged him outside. Wang Xiaoyuan carried her sword and shield and chased after them. Li Fan and Su Su looked at each other and were speechless. They had no choice but to escape behind Bai Lin Luo and the others. The four of them ran out of the school building and went outside. They got into a Toyota SUV that was parked there. Hurry up and drive." Bai Lin Luo dragged Lu Xiaohu into the car and urged Su Su loudly. The driver was none other than Su Su. No one knew when she got her driver's license. When Su Su started the car, Wang Xiaoyuan had already caught up with them. The bronze sword in her hand pierced through the car door. The tip of the sword almost cut Lu Xiaohu's nose. Lu Xiaohu was so scared that he almost peed. "Drive. Hurry up and drive." Bai Lin Luo protected Lu Xiaohu and was scratched by Wang Xiaoyuan's sword. Blood flowed out. However, Su Su had already started the car. The SUV rushed out like a tiger and left Wang Xiaoyuan behind. "We finally got rid of them." Bai Lin Luo let out a long sigh of relief. He endured his injury and asked Lu Xiaohu, "Xiaohu, are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." Lu Xiaohu was still a little dazed. Looking at the blood on Bai Lin Luo's shoulder, he stared blankly. "Who were those people just now?" "Hunters, killers." Bai Lin Luo looked at Lu Xiaohu seriously and warned him, "Those people specialize in killing mutants like us. They are very powerful. We were lucky to escape today. If we weren't here, I'm afraid you would have gone to hell." Why did they want to kill me? After all, Lu Xiaohu was just a high school student. Although he had some special abilities, they were just amusing abilities. With so many things happening all of a sudden, he was really frightened, and his brain couldn't keep up. "Because you are a mutant with superpowers." Bai Lin Luo gave a simple explanation. "They view all mutants as heretics and exterminate them all." "Then what about you? Are you also a mutant? What's your superpower?" Lu Xiaohu finally asked. Bai Lin Luo, on the other hand, was already prepared for this. "I don't have any superpowers. I'm just a researcher. This is my assistant, Li Fan. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he is strong and can help me a lot. We're a team. The only one with superpowers in the team is the girl who's driving. Her name is Su Su." "Ah." Lu Xiaohu was taken aback. "Are the mutants that lowly in our team? You're even responsible for driving?" "Oh no, it's because we don't know how to drive." Bai Lin Luo continued to fool Lu Xiaohu. "She's the core of our team. Then this beautiful sister, what's your superpower?" "You don't want to know." Su Su rolled her eyes. This moron was really fooled by Bai Lin Luo's words. "If you don't prove it, I can't believe you." Lu Xiaohu was still a little vigilant. "Let me see. Are you sure?" Su Su raised her eyebrows. "I'm sure. Why don't you show me?" Li Fan, who was sitting in the back, couldn't help but turn his head away. Out of sight, out of mind. At this time, he could only pray Amitabha for this guy in his heart. Sure enough, 2 seconds later, a heart-wrenching scream came from the car. After another 5 minutes, Bai Lin Luo affectionately patted Lu Xiaohu's back. "Brother, are you feeling better? Big brother." Lu Xiaohu cried with tears and snot all over his face. "Are we really people with superpowers? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Stealing underwear, pinching balls. How can these superpowers save the world? Bullshit. You might be in a bit of pain, so you're a little emotional. It's okay, brother, I understand. Take it easy, take it easy." Bai Lin Luo hurriedly comforted Lu Xiaohu. "I can't take it easy anymore. I've had enough. Not only was he being hunted down, he finally met a teammate, but it was this kind of trash skill. Excuse me, is this really not a joke? Li Xiaohu's spirit was really on the verge of collapse. The car had already arrived near the Shield of China. This was a relatively secluded community, and there were usually not many people outside. The students of the Shield of China were waiting for them at the entrance of the community. Wang Bo crossed his arms, his face full of disdain. These guys, could it be that they didn't complete their mission and are too embarrassed to come back? Wang Bo, what are you talking about? We're all classmates, can't you hope for them? That's right, Wang Bo, don't go too far. A group of students scolded Wang Bo, but Wang Bo said angrily, they're making us wait here on such a hot day, and they're still in the right? Look, they're coming back. If I don't teach Bai Lin Luo and his brainless assistant a lesson, I'll teach them a lesson. Stop fooling around, their car is here. Hey, when did someone appear in front? Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. A red-haired foreigner with a giant sword on his shoulder was standing in the middle of the road, as if waiting for them. He was not here before, and they had no idea when he appeared. Seeing the SUV driving over, he raised the giant sword in his hand and slashed at the car. There was still some distance between them, but the SUV was directly split in half. Susu fell out of the driver's seat, while Li Fan sat in the back. He directly picked up Bai Lin Luo and Li Xiaohu, jumped out of the split car, somersaulted in the air, and landed steadily on the ground. Susu fell to the side, and it seemed like she was in great pain. She covered her butt and complained to Li Fan. You bastard, why didn't you care about me? You've received so much training, it'll be fine. Li Fan's serious look made Susu clench her teeth. It's Hunter. My God. Teacher, where is teacher? Quickly save us. I don't want to die. When the students of the Shield of China saw this red-haired foreigner, they immediately cried in fear. Wang Bo also lost his vigor from before. His legs were weak, and he did not even have the strength to escape, so he sat on the ground. Interesting. The red-haired foreigner said with a smile, Today, I'll catch all of you in one fell swoop. No, you misunderstood. After being placed on the ground by Li Fan, Bai Lin Luo patted the dust off his body and said to the foreigner, It's not you who caught all of us in one fell swoop, it's us who caught turtles in a jar. Do you know what it means to catch turtles in a jar in China? It's to trick turtles into the jar. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.